Earth has been attacked by a white light from beyond our solar system, called to our planet by something ancient and mysterious from beneath the Earth. A champion will be needed to salvage what's left of humanity. She was the seed of oblivion, but she couldn't have known that yet. She'd finally found some happiness as soon as the Earth called out to the cosmos, beckoning the white light to bring its destruction to Earth. Chaos from space has unearthed a terror from underneath the Earth that threatened to wipe out all life on Earth and leave no trace of our civilization behind, venturing forth into a conspiracy of magic, witches, secrets, government entities, and the very essence of humanity. She's going to rip and tear until she's able to be reunited with the person that she loves. All the while, the fate of the Earth rests in the balance and in the palm of her hand as she enters this Cradle of Nightmares. After a day of school, our protagonist Le Qing and her girlfriend Fang Yu are walking home. Fang Yu has a light hair color and is playfully teasing Le Qing about the dark rings around her eyes. Le Qing is more stoic, reserved, and is of dark hair color. Both of them casually banter back and forth, walking home after a day of studies, blissfully unaware of the greater forces at work around them that will trigger catastrophic events that will wreck the world beyond recognition. The Alliance, the Yi Qiu Environmentalist Society, the secretive Lei Fang Assembly, and the Naraka Terrorist Association that would bring into play factors from beyond space-time, magic, and digging up long-forgotten horrors from beneath the Earth that will call onto Earth horrors from space, such as the mysterious cataclysm known as the White Light. But beyond all that, these events will force Le Qing to dig up and confront the truth of her and her family's history and origins. But the two girls have more pressing concerns, such as should they hold hands right now? And hold hands they did, and giggling and happily they walked down the streets. Fang Yu calling Le Qing her little panda. They were too busy holding hands to concern themselves with things such as raptures in space-time or ancient horrors resting on the seafloor. And so they kept walking and talking about the different gifts and outfits they had gotten for each other. Fang Yu nags on Le Qing that all her clothes are so old and that she needs some new ones. Le Qing replies that she doesn't need any new clothes and that she's happy with what she has. Fang Yu insists that Le Qing should wear the new clothes that she had gotten her for her birthday, and before long they arrive at her destination. But Le Qing could not shrug off a heavy feeling of foreboding that she feels as the sun sets. A feeling of dread and foreshadowing settles over her as she says goodbye to Fang Yu. Having said goodbye, Le Qing takes the train home. One by one, the other passengers get off at their respective stations until Le Qing is the last one left on the train. Le Qing feels a sudden jolt, a strong shaking moment, and the train stops. She's confused and starts exploring the train, making her way to the front, trying to figure out what happened and why did the train stop in between stations. Something must have happened when Le Qing wasn't paying attention. The interior of the train looks wrecked. There's blood, bones, and gore everywhere. Making her way to the conductor's cabin, she finds a wounded man on the floor, gasping for breath, clearly wounded, not long for this world. His upper body and chest cavity were torn apart, bloody. He can barely speak now. His face looks slightly gaunt. Moreover, it seems to have been severely corroded by some kind of toxin. It seems like he can't see anymore. The man calls Le Qing closer. She approaches and checks his pulse. It's weak. He doesn't have much life left. Le Qing has no idea what could have caused this. With the last of his strength, the man gives Le Qing a mysterious piece of cipher paper. Le Qing isn't able to make any sense of it or decrypt it. It will be a long time before she's able to do that. He also gives Le Qing a weapon and warns her to run away that they're coming. and he cautions her about industrial settlement. He tells her to go there, to that place for him. Maybe this man wasn't the train conductor. Maybe there was more to this man than met the eye. Could he be involved with these mysterious happenings that seem to be going on? Unceremoniously, the man dies, but there appears to be something else on his corpse. A bright light, a radiance of some sort. This floating light brushes against Le Qing's cheek. It has a semi-illusionary, semi-real feeling. She describes it as a fluffy ball, and it appears friendly, as if it is fond of Le Qing. This bright flying piece of humanity seems determined to follow her. She needs to give it a name, so she decides on the name of Bai Guan, where Bai means white and Guang means light. With her new friend, the cipher paper, and her new weapon, she leaves the dead man to do that which dead people do, which is not much at all, and she makes her way out of the train. Towards the back, hesitantly, she steps into the darkness, mustering up all her courage. But the darkness before her dulls her sense of direction. She keeps moving forward, holding on to the wall, but soon the walls gradually curve on both sides, warping her sense of direction. The tangible feeling of her feet on the floor is also gone. She breathes calmly, moving forward as far as possible. Soon, she loses all sense of orientation in space, and shortly thereafter, she loses consciousness. Le Qing wakes up somewhere new. The surroundings were an unfamiliar place, dark and murky. A chill crept up her spine. Unexpectedly, she feels a presence behind her. She turns around. An unknown entity is approaching her in the darkness. A physical manifestation of the void is right behind her and attacks Le Qing. After this initial combat encounter, we get introduced to one of the mechanics of the game, which is the level of sediment or muddying of the soul. The exact wording depends on the translation mod that you're using, but basically it's your level of violence, how many bosses or invaders you have killed. This will come into play once we reach the end of the game. After the fight, Le Qing starts to feel more and more tired. The surrounding darkness also makes her feel helpless. When she comes to, she is standing in an ornate library, decorated with statues of angels and a tall woman standing before her, dressed in a strange attire. She also has demon wings and a tail. Not the most common fashion. She welcomes Le Qing and reveals that she already knew her name, much to Le Qing's surprise. She adds that she knew that Le Qing was in a dangerous situation, so she brought Le Qing here. The demon lady also adds that Le Qing can feel safe here. Le Qing reveals that she's still dizzy after all the commotion, and much to her surprise, the demon lady embraces her in an attempt to comfort her. Le Qing realizes that this mysterious lady has a reassuring scent. The enigmatic hostess says that the emptiness of the world always has a way of permeating in. So let's rest for a while. When asked what happened, the winged maiden says that an unavoidable global natural disaster has occurred. When Le Qing asks, "Who are you?" the hostess introduces herself as Dolores, a Spanish name that can also mean pain or sorrow, and she adds that it belongs only to Le Qing, O Nightmare, a very fitting name given the circumstance. Dolores continues, saying, "This whole series of events is incredible, isn't it? But it is indeed happening. Not that Le Qing has any idea of what has happened." Dolores does add the enigmatic line that, believe it or not, it is up to Le Qing, without adding any details about what she means. Le Qing doesn't know it yet, but she would find out much later that she is a seed of oblivion. With the gravity of the situation settling on Le Qing, she realizes that she doesn't know what has happened to Fang Yu. She tells Dolores that there's someone that she must find, so Dolores gives Le Qing some starting equipment to help her on her journey. and then she tells Le Qing that she'll have to go outside to the streets and take a look at what has become of the world. But if Le Qing needs somewhere to rest, she can always come back here to the Ashen Dance Hall. And thus begins Le Qing's journey into the Cradle of Nightmares. Exploring the Ashen Dance Hall, she'll find a currently empty graveyard where Dolores is guarding the entrance to a tent. She won't explain why, but she will say this area is off limits to Le Qing, at least for now. She also adds that she knows far more about Le Qing than Le Qing might expect. Dolores is Le Qing's nightmare. She even knows what size vibrator Le Qing likes to use and what type of porn she likes. Heading south from the central area of the Ashen Dance Hall, Le Qing will find a blue forge. Here, she can craft items and upgrade her weapons. She will also be able to craft jewelry using designs that Fang Yu made for her. She'll be coming back here frequently throughout her journey, and using the Blue Forge will be critical in her success. Besides, it's the only way to max out the chainsaw and get maximum damage output with it. Heading to the right area of the Ashen Dance Hall, Le Qing enters a tranquil area that appears to be a hanging garden. She'll encounter Dolores here once again that will warn her that she will encounter a challenge here. But there's not too much more of interest for Le Qing here, at least not yet. We'll be back here again later. And that concludes our exploration of the Ashen Dance Hall. Now Le Qing will return to the room where she first met Dolores and return to the real world. She approaches the odd design of concentric circles in the middle of the ground, and her vision is enveloped by a bright white light. The same feeling as a year ago. The feeling of being hollowed out from the inside and dying. You hear something whispering in your ear. Coming now, right here, in this place, surrounded by emptiness and loneliness. 2,300 days and nights since then, still can't forget your delicious womb. Fear not, devote yourself to darkness. Become more tormented, fall into confusion, be eroded by flowers, heartless one. We offer death to the flowers, we offer the flowers to you. Le Qing wakes up in her home with the lingering feeling that something unpleasant has been here. Before long, she realizes that Bai Guang, the floating white light, is nuzzling up against her. Fortunately, he's still around to keep her company. Le Qing quickly sets herself to looking around her room to see what would be useful and if anything has changed. Perhaps her boring house has more mysteries and secrets than she would know, given how she's already been surprised by the state of the world. She finds a picture of Fang Yu and herself, and she takes a moment to stare at it, reminding herself of what's driving her on the journey that she's on. When she's done looking around her room, she sets out to continue exploring her apartment complex. The apartment across the hall is trashed, and here she unexpectedly finds a wretched man laying against the wall. As trashed as he looks, he seems aware and somehow having survived the events of the white light. Speaking to him, he expresses surprise that Le Qing is still alive. He mentions that he thought that wretched dog had killed everybody in the building. The man looks absolutely crestfallen. He tells Le Qing that she's not actually asking him for help, and then he takes a long drag of his cigarette, still smoking indoors. He continues ranting about how easy the rich have it and how the poor always end up in situations like these, and warns Le Qing to stay away from the dog and his bad breath. He gives her a baseball cap and tells her to make good use of her young girl's vigor, and that's kinda creepy. But in their dialogue, the crestfallen hobo does offer up one valuable piece of information. He gives Le Qing direction. He tells her of two places in the northwest and northeast where she should head to start off her journey, taking her to the Grand Assembly Sky Steps and the Lighthouse of Ambition. He then adds that he hopes Le Qing doesn't attack him next time they meet. Foreshadowing, maybe? Le Qing replies that hopefully he doesn't die overwhelmed by the scent of his own feet. A lovely response from Le Qing towards someone that tried to help her. And with that, she walks away. Exiting the building onto the streets, Le Qing gets the first glimpse of what's become of the world, and we've entered the open world and begun the game proper. So before continuing, a few logistical notes. First of all, spoiler warning. As you probably already surmised by the nature and length of this video, I will be completely spoiling everything I know about this game, including all of the endings. So viewer, be aware. I do recommend this game. I did have a lot of fun with it. So if you did want to do a blind playthrough, pause this video, go check out the game, and rest assured this video will be waiting for you for whenever you're ready to check it out. Our next logistical item that I'd like to discuss. Cradle of Nightmares is an open world game. What that means is that Le Qing will travel down a given path, say path A, until she reaches a locked door. Then the player will have to backtrack and go down a different path, say path B, where you will obtain a key and then go back to path A, unlock the door, and then continue on. Back and forth across the multiple paths in this game, which is about 6 or 7. Now that would make a very sloppy and difficult to follow structure for a Lorethrough. So rather, the way this video will be structured is that we will follow a path to its end by how it's connected on the map. What that means is we will be jumping from some low level areas to some higher level areas. This video will be structured trying to keep the higher level areas of the game towards the end. But if you try to follow the progress of the video, you will not be able to do so in the game, because you will have to bounce back and forth collecting keys to unlock the different paths in the game. I felt that narratively this was a better structure. Very quickly, arriving on the streets, Le Qing realizes that the city's gone to shit and the world's gone to hell. Exploring the nearby buildings, she'll encounter one of the first survivors, if you can call him that, of the White Light. A drooling old man that's sucking on his thumbs. He doesn't have much to say other than speaking about his dad and about how his dad won't turn into a monster, which makes it kinda easy to deduce what put him into this catatonic state. But he is selling snacks, and who doesn't like snacks, especially during the end of the world? If anything, I'd say that's the best time for snacks. I would definitely take a bag of chips during the apocalypse. Heading in the other direction, Le Qing will soon arrive at a breakfast shop. The sights here are no less bizarre than in the previous shop she was in. In the corner, making a very loud chewing sound, surrounded by a partially chewed pile of gore and limbs, Le Qing will find a materialized shadow busily eating away at anything it can get its shadowy hands on. At the back of the breakfast shop, Le Qing will find something with a little bit more sentience, although a lot less of a body. A disembodied talking mouth, although I suppose all mouths talk. Although this mouth has no body and doesn't seem to be attached to anything. It's simply floating in the darkness and appears to be wearing a white coat of some sort. The mouth is snarky in attitude and eager to sell Le Qing food. In conversation with Le Qing, it does seem to lose itself and get lost in thoughts of eating Le Qing, which Le Qing doesn't seem to appreciate. In most cultures, it is considered to be pretty rude to actively be thinking about eating the person you're talking to, which Le Qing reminds the big mouth of. So she tells the disembodied mouth to go fuck itself and then buy some food. Wandering the streets of the city, Le Qing will meet yet another vendor, one that doesn't seem to have lost his mind, nor seem to be a giant mouth that wants to cannibalize her. But this guy doesn't seem to speak, but that might be for the best. We don't know this vendor's name, but seeing how his face is covered in sticky white stuff, I guess we can call him Bukake Face. Look, we are not here to judge. We all have our weird kinky things, to each their own. Considering it is the apocalypse, maybe there's something else going on here. But for now, let's go with Bukake Face. Bukake Face doesn't really speak, even when Le Qing insults him and says that he's a pig face. He's probably a lovely guy underneath it, and he just doesn't have a way to express his friendliness. And Le Qing's all up in his shit just insulting him. I hope he does well during the end of the world. So once Le Qing is done insulting somebody that can't reply, she moves on. Also, I wanted to add, I thought it was kind of funny that the consumable that inflicts the freezing or cold status effect is called bottled air conditioner. One of the earlier disturbing sights Le Qing will encounter is a small clinic where she will find a row of patients. Upon examinations, she will find the corpses with their abdomens cut open but all their internal organs cut out. And I do want to take the opportunity to point out the general theme of involuntary medical interment and experimentation. That's something we'll be coming back to later. A doctor waits on the far end of the room, pounding on a safe, but otherwise ignores Le Qing. If Le Qing speaks with him, she will notice that his brain has become deformed, like mushy noodles. Le Qing can try to make her way into the back room of the clinic. Only then will the doctor acknowledge her presence by attacking Le Qing. This corrupted clinician is one of the earlier tougher combat challenges, and attacks Le Qing along with a corrupted medical specimen. But if Le Qing's been picking up weapons and armor, she should be able to best him without too much trouble. Behind the locked door, Le Qing will find the clinic's bathroom. Here she will find a woman taking refuge. A woman with a red and festering face. Speaking to her, she will hear about a serial killer that seems to have been making the rounds in the neighborhood. So she has taken refuge in her husband's clinic's bathroom. She will be able to help Le Qing in her journey by selling her medical supplies, which are always useful. After looking at her wares and stocking up on medical supplies, Le Qing continues on her journey. Le Qing leaves the clinic, thinking about the horrors of having your internal organs taken from you. Le Qing will continue through the twisted and corrupted remains of what the city has become, sneaking or fighting past its new denizens. Her usual cynicism and detachment serves her well here, allowing her to feel a little bit separated from the insanity of the events that have transpired around her so far. But truth be told, she was worried about Fang Yu. In a dumpster, she finds a full biker attire, along with a helmet and a heavy club. Given the circumstance, she figured she'd be foolish not to put it on. Any extra protection is welcomed. Le Qing arrives at the first black chains she's encountered on her journey, and she steps into the fear. She's at the heavily stairs. Normally, this place is filled with people. From above, an incarnation of a tumor in the form of a disgusting monster drops in front of Le Qing. What is a supernatural creature before an angry teenager with a big stick? The Lamenting Soul item description says, a person ravaged by life endlessly, left with nothing in old age, surviving by scavenging trash, a sewer worker. No, his name isn't on the registry for this place. Le Qing takes a moment to have tea with some madmen. Wisdom floods her mind before she moves on. Every so often, Le Qing will go back to that sanctuary in her nightmares to talk to Dolores and consume all the souls that she has acquired to level up and grow a little bit stronger and make her journey a little bit easier. Eventually, every teenager will wander into the sewers, where they will navigate among excrement and find giant mouths in the ground that they can jump into and quickly be chewed up, masticated, and spat out. Don't do that. Don't jump into sewer mouths. Depending on her mind meter, Le Qing will also occasionally be attacked by invaders, red spirits that are hunting her down. One of the earliest ones is this pervy boy wearing a shirt with a stretched out collar. And with each combat victory, the level of violence in Le Qing's soul increases. Even in the early game, on her way to the first objective in the northwest, Le Qing will face multiple such invaders. The second invader is called the Night Owl. Here, we get a taste of what's going to be a persistent motif in the artist's style. You'll notice some recurring themes in how the artist draws the battle portraits of a lot of the characters or enemies in this game. You'll notice that a lot of them are... how do I put this? Thick. And I'm not complaining here, it's just that the prevalence of, well, legs and jorts is just something that I couldn't help notice in this game. But I am not one to complain. I am a thick boy myself, so if anything, I feel seen. I believe this is somewhere I can use the term the artist's barely concealed fetish. Anyway, the Night Owl is an eager combatant who relishes in the chaos and the violence of the night. She's eager to kiss your tripes, and that awakens long dormant feelings in her. She's going to use her blade to play with your brain and turn Le Qing into a toy for herself. She says that Le Qing will succumb to the eternal night and that rivers of blood will flow freely. Le Qing continues exploring the market district before continuing to the Celestial Stairway. This area used to draw many people, famous for the many flowers planted here. Eventually, the Union for Conservation of Nature sealed off the area for research. Volunteers were occasionally sent inside, but nobody ever saw them again. Here, Le Qing will encounter some feral dogs, but also some witches that still roam the market areas. Underneath the street level, she'll find one of the last sane residents of the market area, a lone Yi Qiu witch in a basement surrounded by her many flowers. When you speak to her, she seems very surprised to see somebody still alive in this area. Speaking to Le Qing, she'll refer to her as a seed of oblivion. She asks you if you think the sky is strange and don't you feel that someone's watching us from it, but that the immediate crisis makes most people overlook that odd feeling. Then she asks if you've seen that steel-bound roving execution device defeats the Iron Scarecrow. What a merciless killing machine, removing people's limbs, stripping away their ability for independent thought, and stuffing them into that iron cage, then commanding them to mercilessly kill their own kind. Then she talks about the false new god, who is the culprit behind the spread of emptiness, and how she didn't expect so many people to forsake the human identity. The mother must be very sad. She continues explaining that cultivating plants and flowers is a basic skill for the witches of Yi Qiu, and that skill continues to be practical even in modern times. Le Qing notices the strong floral scent coming from the witch, and then having bonded with her, she continues on her journey, making her way back to the Celestial Stairway. The Celestial Stairway will be a gauntlet of enemies and traps, where Le Qing will have to use stealth and cunning to sneak by enemies and work her way past traps undetected and unharmed. But the area is not without secrets. Off to a side, she can find a passageway where she will be able to find some aid in the upcoming fight. On a platform with an open view of the sky, she'll find a young man gazing at the moon, entranced with the view of it. Le Qing didn't know it yet, but the moon would play a big role in the journeys to come. Le Qing surprises the man as she approaches. She calls him a red-billed blue magpie, implying that he's rare, which he takes to mean that he's lonely, to which Le Qing replies with her usual sass. He then suggests that Le Qing takes a closer look at the moon, and then proposes the idea that they watch out for each other. After this point, Le Qing will be able to summon him at the next boss fight, and they'll be running into each other a few more times after that. Le Qing says goodbye to the moon gazer and continues on her way. Making it to the top of the Celestial Stairway, Le Qing again encounters some black chains, this game's equivalent of fog walls in Dark Souls. Le Qing finds the lonely moon gazer's summon sign and calls his white spirit, who couldn't use a little help these days. Ready for the encounter, she steps into the fear. A tall woman is facing you. She spoke in a gentle voice, although you can catch a glimpse of a mechanical feel. It's the seat of oblivion. I thought everyone on this street had gone berserk, she says. But it doesn't matter. In the end, they all meet the same fate, she continued. Le Qing asks the tall woman where she's from. The reply is, the kingdom in the heavens, that she was created by humans on the moon. But Le Qing doesn't need to know much more about that, she adds. Le Qing did not like that. So this is the boss fight where I learned you can still beat the boss as long as the summoned is still alive, because it was the Moon Boy that took us over the finish line. The Soul of Nightdew item description reads, abnormally pure and resplendent soul of an angel, descendant by command, guiding the stars with magic. We'll be coming back here later, but for now, we've reached the end of this branch of the map. Le Qing returns to where she started the game and starts heading east rather than west. And new areas brings with itself new enemies, like the children's war machine and the sheriff, along with some very annoying rats. Le Qing would also find another sane person here, a young girl fishing, although Le Qing also surprises her as she approaches. The girl is startled and jumps to her feet. She's holding a fishing rod and a small bucket, and she stands there blankly looking at Le Qing. Her face shows hesitation, but then she seems to remember something. She splashes water at Le Qing and quickly runs away before Le Qing can react. At that moment, Le Qing realizes how cold she is as she's drenched with water. Down the street from where she met the fishing girl, Le Qing would encounter a new threat, snipers. To evade them, she would have to run from cover to cover. They can pose a serious threat, but I am a very capable pro gamer, and as you can see from the footage, I was able to get through on the first try. A little bit further down the street, Le Qing would meet the first entity that traveled here through a tear in space-time, a member of the Le Fang Society, a non-human with a cage around its head. He tells you about a train station next door where you can buy a ticket to a different part of town. Otherwise, he tells you to fuck off and leave him alone. But if you annoy him enough, which Le Qing seems very capable of doing, he'll give you a goodie in hopes of you going away. As I'm sure it's quite obvious, this game, like Black Souls, is a loving tribute to the FromSoftware games. The design of the characters from the Le Fang Society visually draw inspiration from the character design from Bloodborne, which many other character designs from this game also do. Next door, Le Qing will find a train station the Le Fang Society member had mentioned, and this is where she will be able to buy a train ticket to a different area of the city. It makes perfect sense that otherworldly creatures that travel to Earth via a tear in the space-time continuum would set up a system of public transportation. What else would they have to do here? Once Le Qing buys the ticket, the Le Fang Society member warns her that where she's going, violence is rampant, but that seems to be the case everywhere, and he gives her a little bit more lore about the Le Fang Assembly, mentioning how it's grown to prominence, controlling so much of the surface within the last 6 months. Also, outside the train station, we see this thing. It'll be a while, but we are going to run into that thing again. But before getting on the train, Le Qing returns to her apartment complex with the key that she just found that unlocks the door deeper into the apartment complex. Here she finds another fragment of Fang Yu's memories, and she's able to make it deeper into her apartment complex. At first I thought that Fang Yu's memory fragments unlocked the true ending, but they actually only unlock a cosmetic. On my first run through, I spent a long time trying to find them. I was kinda disappointed, but whatever. She remembers what the dirty old uncle told her about a dog, and she smells wet fur as she approaches the black chains. The bloodthirsty soul item description reads, "Uncontrollable wildness erupted when it touched blood flowing from its master's wound. Treating a vicious dog as a pet without preparation is pure contempt towards it." Le Qing returns to the train station and buys herself a ticket, and then proceeds to board the train. Choo choo, chugga chugga. The world map gives us some lore about this new location called the Uncanny Street. The people here use ugly rubber dolls to convey messages. though often just mad ramblings. They sometimes help newcomers. The dolls, modeled after male anatomy, exaggerate the sex organs, resulting in a bizarre and unsettling appearance. It won't be long after her arrival in the uncanny street before Le Qing encounters another invader, though this one drops one of my favorite weapons in the game, the chainsaw, wielded by an invader very eager to cut into fresh meat. Another threat that Le Qing will encounter here that I can't help but compare to a FromSoftware property, Elden Ring in this case, is birds with knives, and they are just as annoying here as they were in Elden Ring. Exploring this area, Le Qing will enter a toy store filled with stuffed bunny rabbits. And if you have any experience with any horror media, you kinda already have an idea of what to expect from these bunny rabbits. And there are also a few other humanoid type enemies Le Qing will have to contend with here. This area will also have one of the earliest mobile execution devices that the Yi Qiu Witch warned Le Qing about. I've always called them the Iron Scarecrows. These things have tank. They have an enormous HP pool and high resistance. In the early game, it is extremely difficult to take them down, but if you do, you get a very useful piece of armor that has very high resistances and can carry you to the very end of the game. The downside is you can spend a very long amount of time trying to take this thing down. Another point of interest in this area is a sanctuary for the sick and wounded that seems to be run by a boy with white hair. Here Le Qing will hear about the different sicknesses and illnesses plaguing the local residents, including about the different fluids oozing out of their bodies. More importantly, this is the first time Le Qing will hear about the Secret Garden, which will be a very important location that we'll be visiting later. Speaking to the white-haired boy, she finds out that the boy was deceived by the Lei Fang Society and separated from his sister. He has no idea what to do. He adds that the world is going to end, but as long as you don't go mad, you won't be disposed of by the Special Operations Team. He mentions a nearby underground space where screaming is coming from, and he seems visibly distressed at the mention of it. He mentions a master picking male children and taking them underground, where the screaming is coming from. Wrapping up her conversation, Le Qing continues on her way. Close to this location, Le Qing finds a gate locked by a double keycard. Making her way through the gate, she descends underground into a series of tunnels filled with a dank air with a heavy stench. Once her eyes adjust to the darkness, she realizes this must be the underground complex the white-haired boy must have been speaking about. The place of horror where the screaming must have been coming from. The walls and floor are stained with blood, and bodies are hanging from the ceiling. The only living things here that she can find appear to be unwilling participants of failed medical experiments that still stalk these halls. The different rooms she explores still have ample evidence of the brutal torture and human experimentation on children that Naraka, the anti-human terrorist organization who ran this underground complex, had been carrying out, that the white-haired boy had warned Le Qing about just a few moments ago. Bodies thrown like trash with their muscles and tendons cut. As she makes her way down the central corridor, Le Qing would encounter the largest experiment that resulted of the activities in this facility, one large enough to be able to grasp her in one hand and rip her head clean off. If she wanted to survive, she would have to be quick and run down this hall before this large creature would be able to catch her, and trigger a lever at the far end that would raise a gate to keep her safe. At the deepest point of the execution ground, underground prison, she would again run into the white-haired boy being kept prisoner in one of the cells. He is relieved to see her, and Le Qing helps him get free and escape the underground, getting safe and away from this place of death. In another cell in this prison complex, Le Qing would also find a pair of jumping spiders jumping on the bed. The doctor always said, "Don't jump on the bed." After watching for a second, she carried on. Reaching the deepest point of the dungeon, Le Qing again encounters some black chains, and she steps into the fear. She again encounters the large creature that had chased her down the corridor, but this time accompanied by its handler, who asked, "Why is the seed of oblivion here?" Well, it doesn't matter. Then you become this fellow's food. As fellow seeds of oblivion, you should happily merge together, revealing for the first time that there can be more than one seed of oblivion. The Crimson Giant and its handler attack Le Qing. The Clinging Soul item description reads, "Immature and reserved soul, almost devoid of its own light, always softly clinging to others. Don't want to die, don't want to die. I want to return to Chief's side." So a few key ideas that we learned here in the execution grounds. 1. There can be multiple seeds of oblivion. And 2. There are people experimenting on the seeds of oblivion, conducting medical tests on them. Le Qing approaches the dying creature and gently places a kiss on his forehead, wishing that it rests in peace as a fellow seed of oblivion. The creature moans and dies. In the deepest part of the complex, Le Qing stumbles upon a destroyed and bloodied laboratory. A woman in a strange attire, but with a sense of gravitas, stands over Le Qing. She recognizes Le Qing as a seed of oblivion. She explains that all of Naraka's followers must be eradicated, and soon you will all be freed. When asked what happened, she answers that the farce had to end. She killed him. All the boys sent here were used by him for torture and more. He was utterly a vile piece of trash, referring to the corpse in front of Le Qing. She continues, "Only when all of Naraka's followers are dead can our plan proceed. These people, who have not received the curse of undeath, they are who brought this disaster. As for the rest, no comment." Without saying more, the woman walks away into the shadows. We get some more interesting lore from the messages on the ground.
The newly emerged, second largest anti-human organization in the world, Naraka. Its origins are extremely mysterious. Almost no one knows them, and no one has ever seen their leader. At first, they merely followed behind other terrorist activities causing disruptions. As the Bazo War broke out, the organization suddenly rose up, taking opportunity to launch large-scale terrorist attacks and secretly infiltrate. This ultimately drew the attention of the United Nations. On the surface, they formed a special operations group to deal with the Naraka problem, but in reality, they had far more covert reasons for exterminating Naraka. Having explored the lab, Le Qing has reached the end of this path and makes her way back to the city. Before continuing on her way north to the coast, Le Qing stumbles upon a cat and a puppy, so she takes a moment to say hi to the cat and the puppy. The cat says meow and licks Le Qing's hand, and Le Qing pets underneath the puppy's chin. Okay, enough of that, time to get back to the apocalypse. Le Qing continues north towards the storm coast. Here, she will encounter unholy abominations, creatures from the deep that have merged with humans, deep ones from underneath the water. Servants from old gods that humanity is better off not knowing about. That is not dead which can eternal lie, and with the strange eons, even death may die. Also along this coast, Le Qing will find a peculiar type of shell, a shell of Rylith. Shells washed up from the city of Rylith beneath the sea, where myth says an ancient god, much older than humanity, lays slumbering. Le Qing continues heading north and enters a hallway decorated with flowers, which is kinda odd given the urban setting. Here, she encounters another invader, the Obscene Twins, which appears as a lewd and sexualized amalgamation of two different bodies that seems to have a peculiar and specific interest in Le Qing, but Le Qing doesn't seem to have any interest in that. Though Le Qing prefers women, she says that she prefers the purer kind, and she rejects the Obscene Twins' advances. Just a bit further north, we get another interesting bit of lore. On the floor, Le Qing will find a message that says, that is to say, the movement of that thing will completely disrupt the space-time of the target location. This is an evolved macro-level attack method to devour humanity, almost unsolvable. But if someone occupies a beacon, they can calculate the landing point of this disturbance. And this is the first mention we get so far of the beacon. We'll be hearing a lot about the beacon as time goes on. And also we got a reference to the consumption or the devouring of humanity. If Le Qing continues north past this point, she will encounter one of her first true space-time disruptions, finding a garden that seems completely out of touch with everything around it. She finds an epitaph to the clan of D, people of a small western nation who crossed the seas to come here, whose teachings civilized the people here.
So this cemetery was built to commemorate their friendship. And I'm gonna say this a lot with Cradle of Nightmares lore. I don't think this ever gets any follow-up. And that's gonna happen a lot with different strings of lore, with characters, events, and organizations that get mentioned once and then never get followed up again. So I will try to piece things together as best as I can, but I am kind of working with a very fragmented world. The only narrative thread that I feel is complete is the story of Le Qing and Fang Yu, which, to be fair, is the most important one. Le Qing continues traveling north, using stealth to avoid being detected by the tentacles from the creatures from the deep. Having reached the far end, we get some more lore into the world. We get the story of a cruise ship that met disaster and how steel fragments and passenger corpses washed up on the coast here. We also learn about countless storms gathering here, destroying everything, and how the howling of the storms ground even souls to dust, leaving not even powder. This would be a story reinforced by a local fisherman that appears to be part fish himself. He would tell about how everybody in this area has gone mad because of the heavy rain, the ceaseless discharge that drove everybody crazy. The never-ending sound of rain consumed everyone's five senses, plummeting into the abyss along with the water droplets. Heavy rain erodes people's minds. Everyone hears it, that silent roar. The fisherman says he can still stay sane because he can still throw harpoons and grant the others release. Le Qing sallies forth and carries on, ever pushing forward. To continue on her journey, she'll have to navigate a series of rooftops where she'll be surprised that the statues can move and attack her. It's here that she'll get a little bit more insight into her current situation, finding a message on the ground that tells her this is probably also a flaw caused by the simulation growth, must be resolved quickly. We also noted that the birth of a nightmare requires conditions. Each person's conditions are different, thus there will also exist difficult birth individuals. An abnormal event was reported here. Observed some humanoid-like unidentified objects falling from the sky. No acceleration phenomenon, then unfolded their bodies instantly seconds later and flew out of observation range. We've concluded these are nightmares being born. Le Qing continues heading north underneath the never-stopping rain and the storm until she reaches the docks and the coast. Here, she'll find a message that tells her about a group of fishermen that discovered a fortress built on the distant sea surface that no one knew what it was for until a large group of visiting people and celebrities from various countries gathered here. And those steel-bound, roving execution devices, terrifying killing machines, were dropped one by one from helicopters. Ignoring the stench of the sea and all the rotting sea life, Le Qing makes her way down to the end of the docks. She again finds a set of black chains and she steps into the fog at the end of the pier. Having reflected on the monster she heard destroy the coastal town and all the people that lost their minds to the never-ending rain, Le Qing turns to walk away. When she hears the sound of crashing waves behind her, she turns to find a storm has assembled behind her.
The Howling Soul item description reads, a large soul, silently howling, even holding it, causes splitting headaches, countless lives, vanished in the storm, silently howling. Fed up with the ocean, Le Qing heads back to the mountain villages of the area. Le Qing crosses some of the flooded areas of the city and encounters a poet. The poet explains that they don't subscribe to any particular school of poetry, and that they enjoy traveling and wearing weird clothes, and that their sexy attire is out of sight. Confused a little with that image, Le Qing continues on her journey. There is one oddity Le Qing will encounter in this area, and that's a space-time anomaly that if she enters, she'll be teleported to a pocket dimension that is just an eternally flooded city. She can travel in any direction, endlessly, and she'll just loop back around over and over again. She can find a few items that will help her on her journey, but not much more here. She warps back to her reality and her place in space-time and carries on her journey. At the far end of this area of the flooded city, Le Qing will encounter a series of caves that will take her to a different area, to a village in the mountains. Though from the looks of it, it seems this village has seen far better days. Seemingly, the only survivors of the village are either crazed and frenzied villagers or the cursed medical personnel that appear to have been conducting experiments on them. Now, throughout this video, you might have noticed Le Qing has been using different cosmetics or costumes or skins. One of them that might have stood out is the Red Riding Hood one from Black Souls. So how do you get it? First, you go to the Abyss flower basket and then head back the way you came from. You'll see these bubbles alongside the path that you entered through. Interact with them and you'll end up in this room where you can pick up the fairy scale powder. Now return to the mountain village and use the powder on the stubborn sheep and then interact with the sheep. And then head inside and claim your cosmetic. Continuing, Le Qing would encounter a variety of threats in the mountain village. From cultists, corrupted villagers, hunters, to what remains of the village population. But there were still a few survivors in the village, and Le Qing would encounter them as well. One of them, a lively young woman that spent her time in the village center. She wore a beautiful yet simple attire and happily swung her legs, her upper body leaning back. The game also tells us her full breasts are displayed before us, a very important and nuanced piece of information for us to fully understand the details of this character. Perhaps later on, the game would also tell us about a male character's bulge in his pants. She happily greets Le Qing when she sees her. She comments on how nice the sounds of the waves are, though she doesn't know where the sound is coming from. She mentions that there's been a lot of city folk coming around recently. They wear clean, thick coats and they carry boxes. They seem to be doing drug experiments, but she's not sure, though they are hard to get along with, and she thought that they looked down on the country folk. She asked around, and it turns out they're not allowed to contact outsiders. Le Qing points out that the dress the woman is wearing doesn't appear to be from Hua country. The woman replies that the dress is from overseas, brought in by the Wu Xiao Corps. Another group of survivors Le Qing will encounter are a father and son duo who appear to be waiting out the madness in the safety of their own home. The father looks tired and disheveled as he rests on the sofa of his home, and the bulge of his penis pressing up against his pants. The old man recognizes you as an outsider and mentions that if you had stopped by 3 months ago, the entire village would have given you a warm welcome. Now they have calamity upon them. He mentions that some time ago, the beast outside the village started howling wildly, scaring everyone. Hunting was no longer possible. Even the plant life seemed to have been affected. He sighs and adds that those out-of-town doctors shouldn't have come here to do their experiments. He mentions a big tree called Yi Qiu that the village worships. It used to be a sickly, withered sapling, but somehow it turned into a massive towering tree. The tree is said to be a tree deity from overseas, brought by a group of female soldiers called the Wu Shao. He also mentions a place called the Great Coffin Cemetery that's been occupied by the city folk for research. He adds that the Great Coffin Cemetery is the villagers' ancestors' resting place. The man continues, saying that he had urgent business outside the village and had left the town with his son. Returning a few days later, he came back to discover that seemingly everyone had had an attack of epilepsy, and it appeared as if the town's witch doctor had been expecting it. The villagers had gone mad, killing animals, burying them, and then digging them up after a while to eat them, and then moving on to attacking normal people. He tells Le Qing that she should leave town while she still can. The boy is shy and sweet, but he doesn't have too much information to offer, other than he misses the sister at the tavern and that he longs to play in the garden. Traveling to the Yi Qiu Tree on the other side of the village will have its dangers. Le Qing will have to traverse traps, monsters, and also have to navigate another sniper that can easily take her down after a few shots if she's not careful. But she will learn some more lore of this world on her way. One message talks about the dangers of angering the supreme tree god. Another talks about the dangers of the white light and the secrets before the D-Magic era, and how this mysterious small village caught the eye of high-level national officials who ordered mystic studies here. But before arriving at the Yi Qiu Tree, Le Qing will have an opportunity to encounter an invader that at first glance may not seem very significant, and that is the World Burner, a fire-themed invader that is mechanical in nature. The reason he is significant is that he will give you access to a ring that provides a lot of protection to fire damage, and that will be extremely useful in the endgame. Approaching the Yi Qiu Tree, Le Qing once again encounters black chains, and once again she steps into the fear. Approaching the tree, she is overwhelmed by the stench of rotting wood. She immediately feels repulsed as she witnesses the physical incarnation of the tree manifest. The Withered Soul item description reads, "This is a deformed, shriveled, entangled soul, proof of the pitiful, timid one who sacrificed themselves. Far too bloated a soul. Absorbing it requires a high price."
Walking away from the ancient tree, Le Qing will be invaded by the spirit of one of the researchers that had arrived to study the mystic properties of the village. A deranged scientist with a piece of metal impaled through his skull and still wearing a white lab coat. Having finished that up, Le Qing returns to the Ashen Dance Hall for a rest. As time progresses, the graveyard fills up with more specters of the NPCs she's encountered. Over time, she can also visit with Dolores and have different conversations with her. Gives us more insight into Dolores, the nightmares, and the world. In one conversation, we find out that Le Qing is in constant and chronic pain, and that she's under strain during her journey. Her condition is getting worse. Dolores suggests that she simply touch the flower basket to heal herself, but Le Qing replies that it doesn't help. The flower baskets haven't cured her. She has some unspecified terminal disease that's uncurable that requires long-term medical treatment. But worst of all, it means that she's barren. She's unable to have children. Interestingly, Dolores replies that she, Dolores, is unable to have children, implying that her and Le Qing are one and the same. The Ashen Dance Hall is implied to be a dream of Le Qing's anyway, so Dolores could be her nightmare. When Dolores asks how come they can't have children, Le Qing explains when the doctors were unable to find the source of their illness, they took everything out, all of the organs. Dolores is visibly shaken and appears on the verge of crying hearing this from Le Qing. During this conversation, we also learn that Le Qing is an orphan, having lost her parents years ago. During a different visit, we find Dolores reading a dictionary. We see Le Qing take a more motherly role and ask Dolores if she can actually read it. Dolores defensively replies that she can read the pinyin in it, implying that she cannot read the characters. Le Qing then proceeds to tease Dolores for her illiteracy, which sounds kind of mean-spirited once you think about it. Pinyin is a system of romanizing Chinese pronunciation. It is kinda odd that Dolores would not be able to read Chinese characters, but would be able to read Pinyin, because it would imply that she cannot read Chinese, but she does know the Roman alphabet. A Chinese speaker would probably first learn a different phonetic system for sounding out Chinese characters, rather than learning the Roman system. But that's just a cultural note. Pinyin is usually used by Westerners learning Chinese. Also, we learned that Le Qing's Chinese grades are pretty bad. During another conversation, Le Qing helps Dolores water the flowers. We learned that Dolores is trying to pack the place with flowers, and Le Qing complains that there are too many of them. Also, Dolores' water can is a cute little elephant. Though during this exchange, Le Qing does have a vague memory that makes her heart race. She asks Dolores who entrusted these flowers to her. Dolores replies that she doesn't know, and mentions that these kids were the ones Le Qing abandoned back because she didn't want them, but she wanted them. Le Qing doesn't remember any of this, though she does feel like she has some vague recollection of it. If Le Qing asks Dolores, what is she exactly? Dolores says that she doesn't have much in common with humans, and that she's a nightmare, a demon in sleep, a product of dreams that lives by peeking into the dreams of all beings. Nowadays, the vast majority of people, or rather, those called seeds of oblivion, like those annoying flying insects, each person has their own unique nightmare revolving around them. They are existences that depend on the seed of oblivion to survive. So Dolores is the anchor point for Le Qing's soul. If she goes out, Le Qing's soul after death will have nowhere to go, and Dolores will die as an exhausted dream. continuing the theme that Dolores is inherently attached to Le Qing's mind is that if Le Qing returns to the Ashen Dance Hall with zero mind, she will find a corrupted Dolores waiting for her. This version of Dolores is mostly non-communicative and doesn't say very much. One of the few things she does say is that she is in pain and she asks for mommy, continuing with the maternal themes of the game. One other interaction with Dolores I thought was interesting, and we'll probably come back to later, is that Dolores asked Le Qing that if Dolores could be reborn with a body as a human child, would Le Qing take care of her, like a mother takes care of her child? Would that be okay? Le Qing is surprised and doesn't understand what Dolores is asking her. And then Le Qing asks Dolores, "What are you thinking about?" Maybe Le Qing is still unsure if she's ready for motherhood. Le Qing gets back to her journey, continuing exploring, and for that, she returns to her home, making her way past the bloody display left by the mutated dog. In her home, she finds a latch leading underground that for years she didn't know why it was there, but now she finally has a key. So into the darkness she goes, descending underground. Down here, she'd find a secret tunnel or passageway that would lead into a room that was filled with what appeared to be medical or scientific equipment. At that moment, the red chalk that she was holding would tremble, and she would use it to invade another realm. Not far from where she started, she would find multiple pods that seemed to be able to hold a fully grown person of her size. Among multiple corpses on the ground, she found one person standing, a person that looked strikingly like her, and that also appeared to be wearing Le Qing's clothes that Le Qing asked for back. This clone of Le Qing seemed to have amplified all of Le Qing's most basic emotions. Notably, the clone seemed a lot hornier than Le Qing, driven strictly by lust, almost to the point of being crazy. Continuing down the tunnel underneath her home, Le Qing would meet another interesting and peculiar character, though she would only see the person's eye through a crack in the wall. The person in the wall refers to Le Qing as number 11 and seems to recognize her, implying that he's seen Le Qing or a copy of her before. He explains that he was punished for not meeting a cleaning standard and that an experiment needed a subject, so he was used for the experiment. The experiment failed, and those bastards beat him to a pulp and stuffed him into the wall. The experiments went out of control. He doesn't really know the details, but afterwards, violence broke out across the lab. He continues that those bastards have always treated Le Qing poorly, and now that they've gone insane, it will be even worse. She should run away. This person in the wall is a merchant that will sell necrotic flesh, but if Le Qing wants it, she will have to carve it off herself. But to do that, he'll have to turn around and she'll have to go for the butt, because the butt has the most meat. On her way to the lab, Le Qing will encounter multiple threats, including some other failed experiments. The escapee is one of them. This poor victim of experimentation is a tortured result of the medical procedures going on in the underground labs. Notably, the escapee is one of the few enemies or invaders Le Qing will encounter that doesn't have notably thick thighs. Just something I thought I'd point out. Tragically, while fighting, the escapee mentions that they don't want to be turned into a computer or into a tool for another person. This poor victim has had multiple extra insect-like limbs attached to her, along with her arms replaced with a whip and a lance. Both of her legs have also been replaced with pegs, and other than her torso, almost nothing remains of her normal human form. It doesn't take a leap of logic to assume this subject is in great torment. The teeth in the middle of her torso is particularly troubling. Perhaps Le Qing is doing her a favor by putting her out of her misery. Down here, she'll also have to defend herself against other lab workers and several other results of the many experiments carried out here. Also in this underground lab, Le Qing would encounter some more members of the Lei Fang Society. If she's able to pay the price for a ticket, she would get access to a bubble of space-time distortion, a little area where the continuity of space-time is warped and connects to a few different distorted areas that don't really make physical sense, but are interesting nonetheless, and the music's pretty good. One of these areas is like the flight deck of an advanced spaceship in outer space, a stargazing platform for observing a terrifying celestial phenomenon called Amaterasu Shinjaku. One night, the sky was suddenly ignited by an intense white light, accompanied by a violent roaring sound that terrified both the court and the common folk. It is said it lasted for a full minute, even startling the sleeping emperor. Some celestial scholars speculated whether it was caused by abnormal solar activity, but couldn't explain the sightings of a white humanoid figure falling from the sky. In one of the other rooms, with a large pile of blood and bones in the center of it, and a treasure chest, we would find a very interesting book written by Fang Yu. The interesting thing about the book is that it mentions a place called the Secret Garden, a special place of Fang Yu's, a place of safety and of hope, a refuge in the chaos that Fang Yu is running. Le Qing had already passed by the Secret Garden a couple of times. Let's take a look at what the Secret Garden holds, and whether or not Le Qing visits it is a defining factor in some of the endings. Entering the Secret Garden, Le Qing would find Fang Yu sitting on top of a writhing biomass that appears to be tentacles of some sort. Fang Yu is surrounded by the sick and the ill who appear to be in recovery. Fang Yu and Le Qing are relieved and happy to see each other. Fang Yu says, "Thank goodness you're still sane." Le Qing replies that she's not that fragile. Fang Yu warmly welcomes Le Qing to the Secret Garden, though it does appear Fang Yu has changed. Fang Yu asks Le Qing if she has any injuries, and then she looks over Le Qing to make sure that she's okay. Le Qing asks, "What's wrong with your body?" But Fang Yu replies that it's quite complicated. And then she explains how is it that Le Qing will resurrect every time she dies. Something extracts a part of the soul when a person dies. The less complete the soul, the easier it is to fall under the radiation of a certain power. That's what happened to everybody on the street. Then Fang Yu tells Le Qing how many times she's died already, and then adds a warning that letting these souls be extracted will definitely lead to something bad. Although she doesn't have concrete evidence, it's still better to try to not die. She continues that she had to try to help the people she found on the street. They were also scared. She paid a price to keep their souls intact, so she has to rely on this to maintain herself. She continues that on the night they were separated, she woke up in the old house that Grandma used to live in. She also encountered strange things. She saw that black stuff that Le Qing also saw. She adds that she's been here for 5 months. She spent a lot of time adapting and finding her way home, though by that time her mother and father had already gone mad. Since then, she's been looking for Le Qing. She's even gone to Le Qing's house a few times, but hadn't found her there. Fang Yu takes a moment to examine all the scars that Le Qing has accumulated over the course of her journey, and Le Qing appreciates the gentleness of the moment with Fang Yu. The world's gone to hell, but their connection hasn't changed. One of the refugees here mentions how they would all be lost without Fang Yu. He also mentions the Kigu Yukala and the champion they support, if only they could resolve this situation. Another one of the refugees is not really in a mood to chat, but apparently he has wounds very similar to the ones Le Qing has during one of her medical episodes. He mentions he has sourceless referential illusionary pain syndrome, SRI. He's also a survivor of that condition. He explains that he had an accident and later a mysterious group of people from the government treated him but left this after effect. He had heard of a doctor called Miller somewhere in the city that might be able to provide a permanent cure. Another one of the survivors provides Le Qing food and drink and adds that as a seed of oblivion, she can survive without eating, but she can still feel hunger, and that the torment of hunger can help her fall into emptiness. The last of the refugees talks about the Ashen Ballroom, which is a place in between dream and reality. But he doesn't add any more details. But let's get back to Le Qing's exploration of the underground lab. She makes it to the entrance, which is guarded by automated defenses. Sneaking by the automated sentry guns, she gains access to the underground labs, which appear abandoned, wrecked, and in disarray. The only things that Le Qing can find are the automated defense sentries and the lab experiments that have broken out. In one room, she does find a piece of equipment meant for human experimentation that provides a very specific piece of biological information. She uses it and finds out that she is exactly 1.68 meters tall, or 5 feet 5 inches in freedom units, meaning that Le Qing is approximately 1.5 inches shorter than me. So my short ass is actually taller than somebody for once. Take that, you fictional high school character. Although to be fair, I'm pretty sure Le Qing could beat my ass in a fight. Our brave hero continues exploring this mysterious underground research lab, not knowing why it's here or who built it and for what. She finds an elevator and takes it, not knowing where it's going. At the top, she finds a woman restrained and attached to machinery she didn't know what it did. She decides to fight her because that's an option the game gave her. Le Qing continues making her way to the depths of the underground lab, having to navigate a corridor filled with automated defenses. She would have to contend with laser fields and laser-sighted cannons that would kill her in one shot if she's not careful. At the far end, she does find a research lab, where she finds equipment and notes that she does find very interesting. One of them tells her about a dark gate and the nature of humanity and its bonding with life. But more importantly, she finds a note about a beacon. A beacon that's been discovered 1,000 meters underground underneath a building on the east coast of Hua country. She didn't know it at the time, but this would be one of the most significant pieces of information she had stumbled upon so far, for this beacon held within itself the very fate of mankind. In the same lab, on the other side of a piece of bulletproof glass, she found a researcher stunned to find someone else in the lab that wasn't also a scientist. He explains that he's locked inside and he can't get out. He needs help and asks for a small mercy, asking Le Qing for help getting out. Le Qing replies, "Those who consume sweet potatoes eventually become sweet potatoes." The researcher is clearly confused and asks Le Qing, "What the fuck are you saying?" Le Qing drops the topic of sweet potatoes. This is not the time to be talking about sweet potatoes. The researcher explains that he's unable to provide details about what happened here. He condescendingly says that Le Qing's a high school student, so she wouldn't understand either way. The only thing he knows for sure is that this organization is part of a greater plan, and they are handling terrifying, extraordinary knowledge that anybody who learns about it cannot remain unmoved. But as to who is behind it and what is their goal, he has no idea. He then asks Le Qing for help getting out, and explains that he can be let out by using the terminal next to Le Qing. He adds that he has his own lab outside of this one and that he can be useful if Le Qing saves him. So Le Qing walks over to the terminal next to her and finds out that it's locked not with a password, but a video game. A video game where she takes the role of a sniper and has to achieve a high score in 3 different levels. So she plays through the game and beats the high score on the 3 different levels to free the researcher from his imprisonment. Once freed, the researcher thanks Le Qing, gives her a key, and is on his way. We'll be seeing him again later. Le Qing makes it back across the hallway with the automated defenses with no incident, and then continues exploring the rest of the underground complex, encountering another invader and another clone of herself. When encountered, this clone seems very eager to compete with Le Qing, be it on strength, looks, height, or cup size. Le Qing is understandably repulsed and off-put by this idea. Le Qing continues exploring and finds another lab worker hidden in a closet of this underground facility, a woman with green streamers in her hair. When Le Qing first approaches the lab worker calls Le Qing number 11, which confirms that there was experimentation with clones of Le Qing in this facility. Le Qing also notices this woman has wounds all over her body. She must have crawled to the storage room for safety. Le Qing explains that she's not clone number 11, and the lab worker realizes Le Qing doesn't seem to have the murderous intent of the clone. The lab worker does add the interesting line that there's nothing here but your nameless sister with no parents, which begs the question of why were they experimenting on Le Qing and why is Le Qing important? Le Qing asks what is beneath the facility. The researcher answers, the world's trauma. The planet we exist on has something strange existing on it, buried deep inside the core. When it acts up, humanity will be erased from this planet, and the world will enter an eternal preparatory period, and humans will be erased. A natural disaster of sorts. The researcher adds that human civilization and history will be completely erased. Not a trace will remain. Le Qing then asks for more details about clone number 11. The researcher replies that the experiments require a large number of human hosts. At first, the higher-ups approved sufficient gene test tubes for cultivation. But since the experiments were secret, at some point nobody was allowed in or out, so they could only use flies to collect genes from humans nearby. One day, the secret door sealing system was torn apart by an unexpected surge of energy from the abyss. The abyss's power radiated all throughout the lab, radiating these immature artificial life forms, giving birth to these deformities. There was a batch with near normal human intellect. Number 11 was one of them. Probably due to long-standing resentment, she went on a murderous killing spree when the research facility fell into chaos. The researcher was able to trick her and get rid of her and hide in this closet. Though number 11 did smash the researcher's treasured coffee cup trying to lure her out. Le Qing wraps up the conversation with the researcher and continues making her way to the deepest part of the lab. But first, she turns to the researcher and says, "Your hair looks stupid." Okay, no, she didn't really say that. Eventually reaching another set of black chains. Sensing something unnatural up ahead, she steps into the fear. She's greeted as number 11 by a twisted body of a researcher that's been taken over by some of the experiments performed here in the lab.
must be a victim of the radiation the researcher with the green streamers in her hair had mentioned. This boss has a status effect denoted by a cross, which means that if he is killed, he will simply revive. We'll be seeing more of this status effect in the late game. The aggregate human is able to summon ghostly versions of himself to help him in the fight. The aggregate soul item description reads, formed by the aggregation of dozens of distinct souls with strong rejection reactions within, has absorbed the energy of over half the dark gates in this region. So an interesting lore bit is the mentioning of the dark gates, where we believe the beacon has come from. And here Le Qing will find the first of 4 critical items for the endgame, which is the heavy fuel. She would need 4 of these to power the mechanical bird to fly her to the endgame. So her main objective for the rest of the game will be to locate the other 3 fuel containers. With the fuel, Le Qing wraps up her business in the underground lab and returns to the city. Next, she will encounter the poet again. Le Qing finds the poet wearing their sick-ass hat, but still sounding like they took too much LSD and never sobered up. The only thing Le Qing is able to understand is that the ducks like the poet. Le Qing asks about the ducks, but the poet doesn't provide any more information. The poet shares her poetry with us. I'm not going to read it, I'm not going to translate it, because that would be poetry written in Chinese, translated to Spanish, and then translated to English. So that would just be a complete massacre of words and a slaughter of poetry, which I am not going to torture you with. Let's just say that the poet read some poetry and move on with the Lorethrough. Le Qing sees a boat and says, "Oh look, a boat," and then she gets on the boat. The boat drops her off somewhere weird, a fragmented part of the city where the laws of physics feel a little bit shattered. Nearby, she'll find a darkened walkway where shadows run past her ceaselessly. Dodging the shadows and feeling her way through the darkness, she makes it to the other side, where she feels another presence in the darkness, perhaps someone she can talk to. As she approaches, in the darkness, Le Qing sees a big pile of face staring back at her. The face-shaped pile of meat is offended when it realizes Le Qing is disgusted by seeing it. But it is the biggest face on this side of Hua country. Despite appearances, it is in good humor and friendly. Le Qing asks him about the running shades, or the shadow figures that populate this area. He explains that they are the result of a tear in space-time, the shadows of repeated calamities. This area was heavily exposed to the white light radiation. He also adds that we're going to the moon, we're going to the moon, we're going to the moon. You won't understand unless you ascend to the heavens. That last line will make more sense later. Next to the pulsating pile of meat, Le Qing takes the ladder that leads her to the coffin graveyard. While not particularly interesting nor important from a lore or gameplay perspective, I did think this was kind of funny. Here, Le Qing will encounter a tent within a tent within a tent within a tent within a tent. So that's 5 layer tents all within each other. I'm very curious how this decision was made and how the game developer thought of it, but it's on screen, take a look at it. I just like the idea of this embedded Matryoshka doll of tents. In the very last tent, Le Qing finds a weapon I never used, but I assume it's good.
The main enemy types in this area are a form of undead soldiers. I always thought of them as beast girls due to their design, but if you look at their character design, you'll notice another recurring motifs in the artwork of this game: jorts, or short jeans. It's just something I couldn't help notice. A lot of enemies are wearing jorts. I'm not complaining, I just can't help but notice it, and I don't know what to do with this information. Personally, I don't wear jorts very often, but I'm starting to think that maybe I should. Future John editing note, I asked my wife if I should wear jorts more often, and she gave me a very confused look. In my opinion, I think Le Qing is probably the type of person to wear jorts sometimes, but probably the looser, more comfortable types whenever she's lounging around at home. Le Qing finds a shrine or an altar with a resplendent piece of humanity. As she approaches, it speaks to her. It assumes Le Qing is a tomb raider here to steal treasures, but Le Qing denies those are her intentions. Nevertheless, the spirit tells Le Qing that if she values her life, she'll get out of here. The voice explains she voluntarily bound herself to a soul coffin, and that she is so mad that she cannot move her body at all. But that is none of Le Qing's business. Le Qing asks the voice if she can teach Le Qing anything, which catches the voice off guard, and she seems very impressed, liking Le Qing's eagerness to learn magic. She also adds that someone has been using magic to desecrate the bodies in the graveyard. If she is able to get out of here, she will kill that person. Fortunately, shortly thereafter, Le Qing finds the black chains again, and next to it, a white summon symbol. So she calls the voice for help with the upcoming battle with the magic user that has been desecrating the graveyard. With the magic user's help, she steps into the fear. The Occult Soul item description reads, nearly all mages who study mystery transform into occult souls. Those who hunt secrets ultimately lose their eyes. Without a way to witness the answer, why pursue it? Having defeated the Corpse Collector, Le Qing also collects a chalk that allows her to end curses. In the room behind where the Corpse Collector was, Le Qing finds an ancient body resting propped up against some crates. Approaching it, it introduces itself as a lost one of an old era, having breathed the foul air of modern times, barely surviving until now. The air of the new world after magification is truly exceptionally sweet. Your eye has opened, please gaze as well. The Sinking Soul's deep well, originally a place undetected by the world, but because of the white light in the sky kept approaching, it was exposed to human sight. Upon it being noticed, it was quickly invaded and controlled. He'll also comment that it's really impressive that Le Qing was able to beat the Corpse Collector. He wasn't just any magic user. He'll also explain that the crystallized form of the soul is a valuable ingredient for forging. He'll mention those people forced him to teach them the principles behind these technologies, but he doesn't know how far they've progressed. Maybe they're able to mass produce them. They called themselves the Alliance. They seemed to be of the few people left in the world that still knew of old things and times. After beating the boss fight, Le Qing can meet up with the voice she had spoken to in the coffin graveyard. Now she has a material form. She's human, a skeleton wearing meat. 2 legs, 2 arms, head, presumably 10 fingers.
She greets Le Qing by saying she had originally thought of grabbing some fresh air after being set free. The result was surprisingly horrible. This town, though small, has a very unique energy. It's still a lot better than those areas with tall buildings. The air here is not bad. And then she refers to the journey that awaits you two, teacher and student. Apparently, this lady has made herself Le Qing's magic teacher. After this, she refers to Le Qing as my dear apprentice. Le Qing explains the modern educational system to the woman, how a group of students will have multiple teachers, each specializing in a different field. And the woman calls Le Qing stupid, and adds that the only thing that matters is that Le Qing recognizes her as her teacher. And then she taps on Le Qing's head. From here on out, she will serve as a magic vendor. Leaving the mountain village, Le Qing makes her way back home, and in the bathroom, behind a painting, she finds a secret passageway. Here, she'll find a recording left by whoever made this tunnel. The elevator, connecting a village in the suburbs to the underground research facility, is connected, so it's time to decommission this place. We encountered arcane scholars sent from outside here. From them, we learned that the density of magical substances underground here is extremely high. It's still unknown why this place escaped the demagicalization effects of centuries ago, the era when magic was removed, suspected to be the influence of certain special entities. We have also confirmed this in our excavation work. That place is temporarily named the Soul Well, possessing the power to sink the souls of the deceased. From here, Le Qing can take an elevator down to one of the mines that the Alliance was operating. We can presume they were trying to harvest soul crystals here, likely using the techniques they learned from the old one. Le Qing makes it to the Alliance-operated mine, and it looks like how I imagine most mines do. Dusty, dirty, a bit messy. As expected, the enemies here are mineral or rock themed, and this place has a distinction that it's the only place where you will find enemies using mimicry. These little bastards will appear as items on the overmap and will wait for you to approach them and interact with them, and then they ambush you. Down here in the mines, Le Qing will also find another one of these weird pieces of Alliance technology. This piece of machinery that sounds like a heartbeat. Le Qing will also encounter an invader that tells Le Qing that she wants to see inside of her uterus. I had to read that about 3 times in Spanish before I was absolutely sure what I was reading, but that's what it says. Moving on, Le Qing returns to the River of Forgotten Journeys, a riverside area infused with a heavy dose of the white light. Shattered fragments of space-time have converged here, causing matter to loop upon itself. This area inexplicably seems to float in the heights. Le Qing gets a slight sense of vertigo looking over the edge. Here, she'll meet another NPC merchant that doesn't seem to make a sound or be able to speak, and is covered head to toe in medical gauze, and he seems to be bleeding through the bandages. The most dangerous enemies she'll find in these fragmented areas are angel heads with wings with dangling entrails. These flying creatures require extra care, as their flying abilities allow them to dodge most melee attacks. Making her way past these winged abominations, Le Qing will find a tunnel down into the sewers. Down here, she'll have to navigate ambushes and traps. There will also be giant insects to keep her on her toes as well, waiting for her to approach among the traps. Though not all of the sewer dwellers will be hostile, some will be willing to help Le Qing along her journey, like this rat that will be willing to trade with her. Also in this dungeon is the Skaven Vanguard Shield, which gives us a hint as to where the inspiration for the rat enemies of this area came from, a direct Warhammer reference.
We can also find one monster that has maintained enough of his sanity to be able to talk to Le Qing. He'll describe a little bit of what it was like to be exposed to the white light. He describes the white light causing chaos and the source of all the demise and anarchy around them. He says that it was like a giant demon licking up ants with his tongue, not for food, but for fun. And all the bodies were burned by the white light and having different degrees of damage. Le Qing makes it to the deepest part of the sewer and encounters another set of black chains. She steps into the darkness and encounters the underground dragon. The Radiated Soul item description reads, a crocodile tainted by pollution, undergoing extraordinary changes from its constant hunt. Some suspect a relationship between crocodiles and ancient dragon-like beings. Le Qing presses on and arrives to a new area. Now, this game wouldn't be a Dark Souls inspired game if it didn't have a poison swamp. Thank you, Miyazaki. An area overrun with toxic pollution, the very definition of urban decay. Le Qing will have to make sure she has protective gear on, lest she be poisoned herself. The enemies in this area will also be covered in protective equipment, or appear to have fallen to the toxicity and the poison of this area, and now wander the area as abominations against nature. It is in this area where Le Qing will have a chance to use the red chalk and be summoned to someone else's world and see a familiar face, that of the Moongazer, who's currently under attack and needs Le Qing's help. The Moongazer explains that he was ambushed by someone yelling something about a medicinal powder. They join forces against this scarecrow-looking attacker. The Moongazer gives Le Qing a spell in gratitude and continues on his way. Le Qing would encounter another known and friendly face here in the Poison Swamp, the poet. The poet mentions that her shoes are drenched and ruined, but otherwise, she seems very happy to be here. Le Qing's confused, not understanding how someone could enjoy this toxic area. The poet then reads Le Qing a poem about ducks, love, time, and some other shit. I'm not going to translate it, because I would just make myself sound illiterate. So let's carry on. Continuing down this path, Le Qing would encounter another familiar sight from Elden Ring. Birds with knives, and they're just as annoying here. Fighting past them, she will arrive at an underground clinic. Now, a piece of advice, if a clinic is underground, you should be suspicious. But here she meets one of Cradle of Nightmare's most colorful characters, Dr. Miller, who seems to enjoy cutting off penises. Don't take it from me, you can see it from the on-screen dialogue. She's a back alley medic, willing to perform unlicensed surgery. In-game, she can change her class. She talks about the Yi Qiu coming to her, asking about turning men into women. She brags about not knowing how many men she castrated. And she talks about how some of them only did it to be able to join the witches, since the witches would only accept women. And then she proceeds to insult Le Qing by comparing her to a gloomy girl with a boring face from an anime.
Not too surprisingly, Le Qing can find a witch's hideout not too far from Dr. Miller's clinic. As she approaches, she'll find witches' corpses lining the streets. In the hideout, she'll find a treasure trove of spells and magical tomes, along with a lovely garden of flowers, which the witches are known for maintaining. Le Qing is able to find a moment of solace and respite among these beautiful flowers. But, returning to the poison swamp, she'll be able to find the lonely moongazer willing to return the favor and help her fight the boss of the area. The deluded soul item description reads, a soul fallen into delusion, unable to accept that poison destroyed their home. Their hatred is towards a lunar giant sealed in the old underground city for experiments. At the far end of the poison swamp, Le Qing emerges to a peaceful and green park where she can take a moment and catch her breath. But after a moment, she sallies forth, continuing on her journey. Next, she travels to a foggy part of town using a key she recently found. This area poses new threats, cloudy, foggy monsters, and specters that mirror her exact image, leading her to fight the mirror image of herself. Also hiding in the fog, she would find a knight in heavy armor that is nearly unbreakable, holding a massive shield in one hand and a spear gun in the other. The style of his armor possibly a tribute to Havel the Rock from Dark Souls 1. At the far end of the foggy street, Le Qing would find a figure wearing a horned helmet waiting for her on the other end of the black chains. That's not very friendly, Le Qing says after taking a hit. The mist-covered soul item description reads, the mist tortured countless people to death. Once dispersed, the entire street was empty. Thick mist, known as pure white darkness, understandably drives people mad. Le Qing does her best James Sunderland impression from Silent Hill 2, sees a massive dark hole in the ground, and with no concern for her safety, jumps in. When she lands, she's in the thermal furnace, a secret lab far underneath the city. In the lab records, she'll find evidence that someone has been studying the seabed and that a new large structure has appeared that is now being studied by whoever constructed this lab, presumably the Alliance. Le Qing takes an elevator down that she found in this lab. The elevator ride continues and continues, seemingly forever. Le Qing wonders how long this ride is gonna take. After what feels like forever in the darkness, the elevator comes to a stop and opens. Le Qing wonders how deep underneath the city she is. She now finds herself in an aquatic environment, an ocean, the sea underneath the city. I don't know how geology works, but I guess there's oceans underneath cities now. Maybe she's in Venice or New Orleans or some moist city. Not surprisingly, the enemies here are ocean themed. And the area invader is an underwater swordsman. Continuing forth, she'd reach an even darker and deeper part of the subterranean ocean. She would have to resist not poison, but horror. She would have to summon up all her resistance to collapsing to the ever-encroaching sense of horror that emanated from this place. Le Qing sees a giant gaping maw, much larger than herself, and she thinks of Fang Yu. Everything I see reminds me of her, she thinks. This thing is not much different from an anus, she thinks to herself. That's literally what she thinks to herself right now. I didn't make that up, it's on screen in Spanish. Anyway, because there's no other path forward, she steps into the giant maw. And then it spits her out. Le Qing feels like she needs a shower. Continuing her descent, she makes it even deeper, approaching the abyss. She finds a set of black chains, only one more obstacle before she can enter the darkness. A foggy monster of darkness in the shape of a squid materializes out of the oblivion. The terrifying soul item description reads, an almost pure black soul. Yukara is an incarnation of the abyss, harbors hate for humans unlike Yi Qiu, voice of Yukara, fragment of the thousand-faced nightmare god. Le Qing enters the abyss, a realm of perpetual night, of piercing darkness, of never-ending void. Home to Yukara, the empty shadow, the nightmare god, the shadow of emptiness. The abyss is where primal humanity dissolves. Likewise, the monsters here are nightmare fuel. The invader from this area refers to Le Qing as the seed of oblivion. She says you mustn't be a regular person to have made it this far. But you're in her way. At the very end of the abyss, Le Qing will fight the quiet yet vicious body collector. Blank So item description reads, a giant spell shadow produced by massive magic power, gaining life and instincts after absorbing souls, primordial sludge, the soul of the Dark People's original form. Le Qing collects the primordial abyss soul, a key item for one of the endings. Le Qing has usurped the power of the abyss. The power of the beast has weakened. Weird sounds fill the air. Yukara stares from the abyss. Le Qing comes to, standing in the abyss, in the eternal darkness. She gets an audience with Yukara, the nightmare god. Though the nightmare god doesn't seem interested in talking to a minor being, such as a simple human, though she can be a source of magic. Le Qing returns to the surface and goes back to that tranquil park she remembered, and continues heading north to a fire-blasted area. It wouldn't be a Dark Souls tribute without a lava area. Le Qing gets a headache, a sense of vertigo. She can feel the screams of the fire resonating in her skull. She takes a moment to steady herself. This entire area has been burnt and is still on fire. The enemies that patrol this area are carrying flamethrowers, among other types of monstrosities. In this area, Le Qing will also have the chance to once again run into a familiar face. Le Qing runs into the Moongazer. He seems like he's resting. He's got severe injuries and scars all over his body. Le Qing asks if he likes being the useless guy archetype, and that if he does that to inspire maternal feelings in girls. After teasing him, Le Qing helps the Moongazer up, and together they head downstairs to a secret bar. They grab a bottle of vodka and take a seat at the bar. Le Qing admits to never having drank alcohol before, but she wonders that if she uses souls to increase her physical attributes, then alcohol can't be anything next to that, right? So Le Qing takes a shot straight of vodka. She doesn't take it too well. They briefly talk about motivations and the importance of having a purpose. Le Qing takes another sip of her vodka. They wish each other well, and then they say goodbye. Le Qing carries on her journey. In this area, Le Qing can get a moment of peace. After fighting past this crimson invader, she'll have a chance to climb a tower with a view. It's just a nice little quiet and reflective moment to take in the beauty of the night and the sight of the moon. Sometimes you need these moments to slow down a bit. Also in this area, Le Qing will get a chance to run back into the post-grad researcher. He's housing several specimens of human nature, separated by a viscous black substance, some form of biogel. Le Qing can also play some music in the stereo, which triggers a chance to take a moment and have a dance. A peaceful moment to remember their humanity amidst the chaos of the apocalypse. The researcher expresses his happiness to have a chance to dance with somebody that's not his parents. And then he proceeds to go on a long-winded meditation on the nature of life and evolution, and details to Le Qing on how life evolved and developed through time and the millennia. Life has survived countless natural disasters and continued to evolve, developing technology and more advanced forms of communication, which evolved into society and technology. And in spite of everything horrible and negative that came with society, most people still decided to live and continue pressing forward. And generation after generation, people continued on, not giving up, pushing back against obsolescence and corruption. And that's how we got to today.
Le Qing replies that if we can't empathize with each other's pain, then we should strive to build a sense of happiness together. And then she adds that maybe next time he shouldn't focus so much on his monologue and maybe try to focus a little bit more on not stepping on her feet as they dance. They say their goodbyes after a lovely moment, and Le Qing continues on. In the basement of a nearby building, Le Qing would also find an odd recording. A recording where someone referring to another person as a teacher would talk about the Alliance and the Le Fang Society, asking for a private army, referring to androids and soldiers, and taking orders. A recording that creates more questions than it gives answers. From the map area description, we do know this area saw heavy fighting between the Alliance and the Le Fang Society, so maybe this recording had to do with that. But without much more details, Le Qing carries on. On the next step of her journey, Le Qing would encounter another trap on her treacherous voyage, a mimic chest. She would have to be quick on her feet to survive these. Traveling through the flames of the fading ruins, Le Qing would encounter a character whose visual design is also inspired by Bloodborne. He seems to take pleasure in the chaos and destruction around him, captivated by the smell of blood and gunpowder. He tips his hat towards Le Qing and explains that he's a collector of arrows and bullets. He has a wide assortment of ammunition for sale if Le Qing's interested. Le Qing looks at his collection and comments shotgun shells, armor-piercing bullets, rifle cartridges, even some made of human bones. The man in the Victorian leather outfit is impressed. Le Qing continues and explains that she's read a lot of comic books, so she knows about these things. Wrapping up her conversation, Le Qing pushes forth into this fiery hellscape. She encounters another set of black chains. She steps into the fear to face the crimson gunsmoke butterfly. The Gunsmoke Soul item description reads, a large soul permeated with scorched black aura, blood, tears, charred earth, dead and living whirling in a turbulent vortex. Gunsmoke permeates. Making her way across this battlefield, Le Qing has finally reached the Black Moth Hell. This is the grave of the flawless, the place where the unfulfilled heroes wander. Just like the solar wheel of the daylight, immersed in night, such a scorching heart bursts and scatters until it evens out in the sea, fragments turning into stars. Like the abyss, the Black Moth Hell seems to exist on the very edge of reality. Darkness spreads with no limit, traps everywhere, and the place seems to be supported by technologies that don't seem to have reason. A testing ground for the very limits of the Alliance's technologies. Tortured enemies can be found here. They appear to be failed experiments, teetering on the edge of sanity and reason. Stepping out of nightmares and into Le Qing's path, Ultimately, this realm appears to be a series of nightmares or dreams thrown together. Nothing makes sense. Components of physical reality appear placed together, mismatched with little logic. If the abyss was darkness incarnate, the black moth hell was madness incarnate. Le Qing found an odd terminal where she'd get some information about this place. It read, "The android plan for creating the ultimate vessel is the United Parliament's second plan against the white light. In case of an accident, deployable androids will target the champion to become pure vessels. The champion will, after the ultimate white light defense device loses control, reshape the beacon themselves, reversing the signal to the white light. At that time, the new world will continue the foundation of the old world in a twisted state, promoting human progress. The plan seems to be proceeding smoothly. However, while researchers were investigating the compatibility between androids and nightmares, lunar monitoring devices observed the white light suddenly accelerating, triggering space-time chaos effects. So this tells us that the champion will be able to interact with the beacon to shape the future of humanity once the white light has arrived on Earth. But then, who gets to be the champion? At the very depths of the Black Moth Hell, Le Qing again arrives at a set of black chains. She sees a massive pit with no bottom in sight, and again she takes a leap of faith into the darkness. A benefactor, lift thine weapon, let me see your soul, burning like the white sun. I will devour your light like a swarm of black moths. Shadows of destroyed stars is the final spectacle for those without souls. That pale beauty, if you stay here, you will not be able to escape. The only result is you being consumed by the fire of my ambition. Yukara's black moths will eventually devour all the light in the sky. The Shattered Soul item description reads, "A soul that has given her body completely to battle, flawless and colorless, arbitrarily shapeable, half of twin souls taken from a weapon." In the next room over, Le Qing finds a result of all the human experimentation. A singularity surrounded by black moths, suspended over a chasm. She finds a video in the machine next to it. Today I learned how to operate this machine. A few days ago, while doing combat trials as usual, I remembered Xiao Ji's words. She said, "Can't just focus on learning combat skills, also need to learn other things." So I put down my weapons for the first time, went to the inspection station to find some data machines. At first, I didn't even know how to turn them on, so I smashed most of them. Luckily, Today I finally learned how to turn on and record video files. That's what they're called. I miss Xiaoji a bit, though this feeling is very faint. She is someone who will become the sun, far beyond reach. If that's the case, then let me become the shadow. I will devour anyone who might obscure her dazzling light, dragging them into this black moth's hell. And the video ends. Was Zhao Ji the person we just fought? And was this person being trained, a candidate to become the champion? Just more questions with no answers. At least not for now. There is one more thing that Qing needs here. On the far side of the room, on the other side of the chasm, Le Qing would find the second of the 4 gas containers that she needs. That she needs to get herself to the endgame, where she would face destiny once and for all, and put an end to this madness. Le Qing's next destination would not be in this world, but rather in a painted world. Stop me if you've heard this one before. But not the painted world of Arendelle, but the painted world of Miriam this time. This painted world is a place of nightmares and living first drafts of paintings. The invaders of this area would also be quirky, with one of them wearing a troubling mask, and the other one seems to wield the paintress's Miriam's magic, while also wearing the game's recurring theme of jorts. In the very center of the area, Le Qing will find a large statue to the original paintress, Miriam, a quiet tribute to the person that created this realm. And as she got deeper, Le Qing would see more of Miriam's painted creations. The first significant one to challenge her would be the Peacock Tomb, a major boss that would stand in her way. A chaotic amalgamation of colors that would challenge her in combat. The suffocated soul item description reads, already faded, formerly mixed colors from peacock blue to strange green. Countless brushes wait before an empty canvas, given life by the prayers of paper insects. Though the true challenge in this painted world is the second boss fight with the student. Do you really want to see the painting's colors? That is the last color that will exist in the world. Are your dreams sufficiently spectacular to see this? Otherwise, this painting is something you should have never have touched.
The Radiant Soul item description reads, a soul radiating splendid rainbow white brilliance, as if containing infinite dreams. Blossoms bloom and fade, yet even so, signs of dimming have appeared. By where the art student stood, Le Qing will find a data machine. She plays the video file. The video is about two sisters playing around with a video camera. The older one mentions that she's trying to record this time in history because all memories, like paintings, will fade in time, and she wants to remember this moment with her younger sister. Past the boss arena, Le Qing would find another video file. It's a video showing the same older sister as the previous video, but this one mentions the beacon, how it's already been tainted by humans, and attracting the white light was merely its cry for help, and that the Narakas were responsible for tainting the beacon, and that they must be destroyed. Le Qing can't help but notice the sad look on the lady's face. As she approaches the end of the hall, Le Qing will get the chance to pick up another unique soul, the second of 3 items needed for one of the endings. Le Qing now has Miriam's humanity. It's magnificent and brilliant. Next, Le Qing will return to the coast, making her way back to the Seaside Fortress. But to get there, she will have to go through the Great Sulphur King, a terror from the deep. The exotic soul item description reads, strange life form placed here for unknown reasons, used to guard the gates to the Seaside Fortress. A creature that feeds on sulfuric acid and poison, captured on the moon. Doing her best impression of Jesus of Nazareth, Le Qing walks on the water and makes her way into the Seaside Fortress, though making it to the inside won't be without resistance. In a proper homage to Bloodborne, Le Qing runs into 3 hunters guarding the entrance to the fortress, one of whom seems to be wearing jorts. The inside of the Seaside Fortress is vast and high-tech, and filled with an eerie aura. Members of the Alliance still patrolled the area. But some of them appear to be experiments or abominations of humans fused with magic. But to unravel the secrets of the fortress, Le Qing would have to make her way to the bottom of it, fighting past technological and magical enemies, including invaders and golems. But she'd persist past the many threats, making it to a place that seemed to absorb light, a place of darkness. Here she would find evidence of some medical experiments. The picture showed a woman restrained on a medical bed. Le Qing hears 2 medical professionals refer to multiple people as numbers, and they debate how they should treat them, whether or not to treat them as people. One of them has hair growing out of control. Should they feel guilt and remorse about what they're doing here? The thought fades from her mind and Le Qing feels out of breath. There is one more stop Le Qing has to make before leaving the Seaside Fortress. We'll be back here when we talk about the endings. First she says thank you, and then she's whisked away to this remote tower where she's encountered with someone with an ornate mask and a scythe. Her outfit is black with gold inlays, a majestic outfit as this tower is high. This regal person is surprised to see you, and she comments that no one's been here for over 100 years. Nevertheless, Le Qing introduces her to her chainsaw. She mentions this is a cemetery among the clouds. This is where everyone's memories are buried. They promised her paradise, but rather she was imprisoned here, breaking the contract. The Teardrop Soul item description reads, when the beacon sensed the planet's will, it wept. The planet resented this and shattered it. Countless pieces were bestowed upon magicians, inciting their ambition. Here Le Qing collects the third of 4 gas canisters that she'll need to access the endgame. But let's revisit the Teardrop Soul item description momentarily. It tells us that the beacon and the planet have interacted in the past, and it also suggests that the beacon might be the source of magic on the planet, might be the origin of magicians existing on Earth, meaning that the beacon seeded humanity with its magical powers long ago before the present era. It also suggests that the beacon was shattered, meaning that somebody had to put in work to reunite or rebuild the beacon, possibly the Alliance. There is one more path that Le Qing will be taking in the Seaside Fortress before moving on to her next destination, and this path will have her revisiting some of her most treasured and valuable memories. Le Qing revisits memories of being back in school, talking to her classmates about chores they had to do, or classes they'd have to take. About things students would talk about, makeup, and what clothes they wear to school. Though one conversation did stand out, a conversation with a teacher talking about Le Qing's sickness, talking about how Le Qing would handle her disease, and how she'd manage if she had an episode the night before a big exam. In this land of memories, Le Qing finds messages that reflect her inner thoughts, about how her life was better once she was admitted to Huayue, and how she was happy with her time with Uncle Li, but she can't depend on them forever, how she feels lonely at school, how she keeps a distance in relationships because she's scared, how she's looking for a relationship worth fighting for, where she's an equal with the other, a new relationship without fear. In one of her old bedrooms, she finds a silhouette, a specter of her younger self. She remembers coming home with the feeling inside of her of a pure white spark, but then having to listen to mom and dad's accusations and condescensions, but holding on to that new feeling in her chest. In this land of memories, she would also encounter some of Fang Yu's memories. The first, she remembers a memory of Fang Yu having dinner with her parents. She was 16. She was at home with her parents, and it's dinner time. The atmosphere is tense. Her father was anxious and angry after making some phone calls. Fang Yu, holding in anger, inevitably bumps and knocks things when sitting at the table. She picks up some of the food and chews it a few times and then spits it out again. She mentions that the food is cold. She mentions this lifelessly. Her father is too focused on playing mahjong, gambling the family's money away,
destroying their financial well-being. The apartment they bought isn't even decorated yet. They're paying Fang Yu's educational expenses bit by bit. Her clothes and uniform are old and worn down. They can't afford a new one. Fang Yu's father is hanging out with his no-good friends, spending money recklessly with them. Fang Yu can't take it anymore. Fang Yu snaps and slams her hand on the dinner table, and she runs out of the house, not being able to take it anymore. Nearby, Le Qing would encounter another memory. Just a few steps away, and Fang Yu can no longer hear her mother screaming. She's passing through groups of people on the bustling streets, thinking about where to go next. Go stay at a classmate's house, she thinks. She makes her way to the train station, waits, and eventually boards a train. On the train, she looks out the window, wondering why she feels so dead on the inside. Heavy rain had started while she was on the train. Fang Yu is drenched. She receives a phone call from her dad. She hesitates but answers the call. Her father tries to guilt her using her mother's health, and then her father tells her to get lost. Fang Yu's heart tightens and she hangs up the phone. She feels disgusted by the way her father is acting, and she feels suffocated by her mother's neediness and indecisiveness. Le Qing moves on to the next memory. Walking under the rain, Fang Yu arrives at the apartment building. A familiar, delicate, yet gentle voice welcomes her. Fang Yu opens her eyes and looks up. The voice asks her, "Why are you here?" It's Le Qing from class. They've dated before. Le Qing is carrying an umbrella and her shoulder bag, also having just walked through the rain. Le Qing notices Fang Yu's hand is bruised. With concern, Le Qing comes closer to Fang Yu without saying a word. Le Qing can put together what's happened and take a guess. Le Qing invites Fang Yu back to her place. The next memory picks up once they're inside. Fang Yu takes a seat on Le Qing's bed. Le Qing brings over a dry towel and drapes it over her head. Le Qing also brings over a package of unopened underwear, some dry clothes, and a bandage. Fang Yu takes her shoes off and takes a shower. She still feels numb at the whole situation. Le Qing asks what's wrong, walks over, and helps Fang Yu take off her shoes. Fang Yu's body stiffens. She doesn't say anything and just quietly watches as Le Qing takes off her socks and shoes. And Le Qing insists that Fang Yu should take a hot shower to prevent catching a cold. Coming out of the shower, Fang Yu sees Le Qing at her desk drawing something. Fang Yu wants to say something, but the words just don't come out. Eventually, Fang Yu manages to say, "What are you doing?" Le Qing replies with her own question, asking why Fang Yu was out so late. Fang Yu reveals that she had a fight with her parents. Le Qing hands Fang Yu the notebook she was drawing in. It was late, so Le Qing should have been sleeping, but an illness was acting up, keeping Le Qing awake. Le Qing continues, talking about a date to a jewelry store, and mentions that she was drawing some of the jewelry they saw that time. Fang Yu notices how meticulous and well drawn the pieces of jewelry are. Fang Yu asks if Le Qing is working from memory, but Le Qing confesses that she had taken photos with her phone, adding that her memory isn't that good. Fang Yu flips through the notebook and realizes there's at least 50 pages of it, and then looks around and spots at least 4 or 5 other notebooks filled with drawings of jewelry. Fang Yu turns around to find Le Qing has already curled up on the bed, taking the big pillow. The house is rather small, and there's no sofa, and Le Qing doesn't want to spend a few hundred to put Fang Yu up at a hotel. Fang Yu hesitates for a while, and then gingerly slips into bed alongside Le Qing. She notices the faint scent of shampoo and shower gel. Fang Yu looks at Le Qing's jet black hair on the pillow. This is her first time sharing a bed with another girl. She really wants to say thank you, but awkwardly can't get the words out. But the fatigue of the day kicks in. She wakes up the next day, feeling an immense warmth on her chest. At the same time, she notices a fragrant smell. Le Qing is holding her.
Fang Yu gasps in surprise. She feels extremely awkward. At the same time, Le Qing wakes up. Le Qing pulls away. She explains that sometimes she gets stomach aches at night, so she'll grab something to press on her stomach, explaining why she'd embrace Fang Yu. Le Qing laughs awkwardly, revealing she feels as awkward as Fang Yu did, and the memory fades. Le Qing revisits another memory. While getting up, washing and dressing, Le Qing is tying her hair to the side. She asks Fang Yu if she needed Le Qing to stay for a while. Fang Yu replies that she better head home. Le Qing explains that she has a busy day and she'll be out most of it. And then Le Qing sticks out her tongue at Fang Yu. Smiling, they both walk out together. After locking the front door, Le Qing turns to Fang Yu. She says, "About what happened to you, it's not that I don't care, it's just that I haven't experienced those things. So it's hard for me to empathize. All I know is that you're sad, and seeing you like that scared me. If you don't want to talk about it, that's okay, but I hope that you can be happy with me." Fang Yu thinks that's so strange to be with someone like Le Qing, so courageous, so sincere, and so bold. Fang Yu replies, "Thank you." She feels as if it's breaking through some kind of shackle. A glimmer of hope surges from the dark and negative feelings. She tells Le Qing, "I'm very happy being with you." Le Qing turns and leaves. Fang Yu feels exhilarated, butterflies. Her heart beats fast. As Le Qing moves away, Fang Yu feels empty, as if dark thoughts were settling back on her mind. And finishing with the flashback, Le Qing is done in the Seaside Fortress. But before we can move on to the last area before the endgame, I thought this would be a good place to collect all the flashback sequences that give us more details and background into the character of Le Qing, setting up who she is and her motivations before moving into the endgame and the story resolution. In the Yi Qiu Witch's hideout, Le Qing can have another flashback. Le Qing remembers to when she was cured of her necrosis disorder, shortly after she lost her parents and was taken in as an orphan. She feels faint, she's drenched in sweat. Trying to remember anything feels painful. Le Qing finds an old photograph of herself when she was in the hospital. She thinks about how familiar, yet how unfamiliar, the picture makes her feel. She's looking outside a hospital window, thinking of how beautiful it looks outside. Two nurses are speaking over her and congratulate little Le Qing on her recovery. They're surprised at Le Qing's lack of response. They comment how Le Qing's been bedridden for over a year and subjected to various experimental treatments. It must be getting to her. But in the end, the doctor was amazing and actually able to restore necrotic skin tissue. It's just that the child's anchor point wasn't able to be restored. She won't be able to have children in the future. That's a result of the organ removal. The nurses stop talking when they hear Le Qing say something. Le Qing wants to go outside and play on the tree. There is a secret location where we would learn more about Le Qing's family history. The inverted space black room, where we learn about the history of magic.
The essence of magic is the spirit pulling the soul to interfere with the real. Human magic is a gift accompanying the human order bestowed upon humanity. There were also greedy people planning to strip humanity of all their magic for their own use. Magicians had their souls tethered to a distant device. By expressing gratitude to it, they could use magic. They guided humanity to abandon magitech science, shifting focus to industrial technology, even launching wars to accelerate this process, interfering with human historical development. However, with the prosperity of the demagicization era and the birth of private armed forces made it difficult for magicians to control the world by force. Thus, magician organizations finally declined. This explanation of magic does seem to suggest that fundamentally, magic is connected to the white light, assuming the white light is that distant object. Around this mysterious darkened room, Le Qing will find altars to different great magician families, different names to the different great families that each focus on their own individual branches of magic. She's surprised to find one of them that stood out to her. Li clan lineage, arcane casters. She recognizes the name Li Ying, her grandmother. Le Qing was surprised to find out that she is actually part of the lineage of magicians. Her grandmother's family is descendant of one of the great magician organizations, which explains why she was able to take to magic so naturally, since it was part of her blood heritage. It wasn't a coincidence that the Alliance had taken an interest in her and why she was experimented on, and why the mysterious organization had tried cloning her in the underground labs. They were researching her family's connection to magic. And that's all we'll be talking about in regards to this mysterious room for now. We'll be back later. In another cutscene that's going to be monumental for understanding one of the endings, and also for comprehending the character of Le Qing, she returns to the Ashen Dance Hall and goes off to the garden. She encounters a little girl, a little ghost girl. The little girl would feel both familiar yet unfamiliar to Le Qing. She seemed happy and carefree, though she was looking down to the ground. The ghost child did remind Le Qing of herself when she was a little girl. Once the ghost child notices Le Qing, the child's eyes lock onto her and she says, "Mama?" The child's words surprise Le Qing, but she quickly realizes what's happening. "Come keep me company, mother," says the child. "Come play with me. It's been too long since you've been here." The child grabs Le Qing's hand. A weird sensation fills Le Qing, but before she knows it, she's hugging the child. The little ghost child seems elated and extremely happy after the hug. In spite of that, Le Qing still feels awkward around children, like she doesn't know how to deal with them. The little girl asks Le Qing if she thinks she'll ever be a wife in the future. Le Qing says she probably wouldn't be a very good wife. The little girl says that as long as she has mommy, she's happy, and tells Le Qing to never leave her so that they can be together forever and ever. "After all, I'm just a defective child, destined to failure," she says. The little girl starts crying, hugs Le Qing, and buries her face into Le Qing's stomach. Le Qing feels the hug get tighter, and a warm feeling spreads down her stomach. Le Qing says, "I'm sorry." The words were on the tip of her tongue, but then hid. She didn't know what to say, and if she said anything, she'd feel stupid. But she did say, "Stop, don't cry. I don't want to see you cry. I care about you." And suddenly, the girl vanished. And just like that, Le Qing is alone again. Though the girl did leave behind a music box that Le Qing can use anytime she wants to come back to the Ashen Dance Hall. But enough memories. Let's get back to Le Qing's journey. She has one more stop before the endgame. And what's that stop, you might be asking? Well, a logical destination for a high school student trying to get back with their girlfriend. The moon. Let's head off to the Celestial Stairway on our way to the Alliance's moon base. Le Qing returns to the Celestial Stairway and finds someone else that seems to have beef with the Alliance and is willing to help her with the upcoming fight. Le Qing approaches the moon-gazing platform as a terrifying presence descends. She feels an odd sensation tingling up her spine. The blank soul item description reads, "A giant spell shadow produced by massive magic power, gaining life and instincts after absorbing souls. Primordial sludge, the soul of the dark people's original form." The star shadow obstruction has been eliminated. Le Qing is on her way to the moon. Here in the moon base, Le Qing would find another one of those machines that has a heartbeat. If she destroys it, she'll be invaded by someone asking her not to destroy the precious equipment here. This invader would have both a rifle and a hat, which I think are both things you wouldn't really need on a moon base, but let's roll with it. As Le Qing explores the moon base, she is able to get a wonderful view of the solar system. Le Qing would have to fight her way past different alliance members and experiments to make her way to the center of the moon base. Along the way, she'd find messages detailing the story of Mei Li, the moonsoat, who infiltrated the moon base and began sending white light movement data to the seaside barrier, calculating the landing point of the space-time disturbance, which allowed the wanton slaughter of millions of people. Eventually, making it to the center of the moon base, Le Qing would encounter another set of black chains, and once again, like so many times before, Le Qing would step into the fear. Le Qing stood in the presence of moon-drenched Mei Li, the woman responsible for tracking and observing the white light, responsible for the death of millions. You have the potential of becoming the champion, but I can't let you go, but I also can't let you pass. We will kill every seed of oblivion we find, and then we shall greet the arrival of the white light. Naraka are sinners against humanity. It was the sinners Naraka who activated the beacon. Only then would the white light manifest as the Punisher. The first time I saw the white light through the microscope, I was captivated by its purity. It's the true home to all intelligent life. We must leave all else behind and embrace the white light. The Sinful Soul item description reads, a soul fallen into madness, calmed by old age. Yet, jet black sin has already died every corner. A mountain of sins dwells within. Yet, a sliver of light still lingers. A message on the ground in this chamber gives us more lore about Mei Li and the world. After storing vast amounts of souls and humanity, a heavy gravitational effect forms, pulling residual soul fragments from around the chaotic world. The magicians then vanished. Although Mei Li was completely unaware of this and didn't know the purpose, she was already planning to follow her own selfish desires, welcoming the world-ending arrival of the white light. Here, Le Qing will get two critical items. One would be another unit of fuel, the last of 4, unlocking the endgame, and the second would be a fragment of human nature, a soul item needed for one of the endings. When Le Qing gets the last of the fuel containers, she'll get a pop-up telling her to proceed to the far right direction of the world map. That's a heads up that the endgame can now be accessed. Although before leaving this chamber, Le Qing will discover a rupture in space-time that she can travel through, taking her to this dreamlike realm on a platform floating across a vast ocean of clouds. On the far end of the only path here, Le Qing sees an unexpected yet familiar face. It's Dolores, her very own personal nightmare. Dolores asks Le Qing, "Why are you here?" Do you know what that means? You know I want to be born. I've anxiously waited this day so I can meet the real Le Qing in the flesh, and being able to exist as an independent person, not having to depend on you. Le Qing replies, "Don't kid yourself." With a dejected look on her face, Dolores asks, "Why?" Le Qing replies, "Don't you know what that means? The birth of nightmares? Nothing good can come from it. It would be a twisted destiny."
Dolores asks Le Qing, does it really have to be this way? Dolores' expression changes from a smile to a look of hatred. With her last breath, Dolores says, I've always been jealous of you. It doesn't matter how much I've wanted to express genuine emotion. These feelings invade me every time I see you. The desire to be born is the curse that nightmares are born with. How could you decide so easily? How could it have been so easy for you to abandon me? Am I nothing to you, she asks. She's crying and has blood on her face, her lips tight with resentment. In spite of all that, Le Qing tries to look into her eyes, but she has to fight the urge to look away. Le Qing says, I'm sorry, but this is my decision. Le Qing adds, I told you, I've lost my uterus. I'm a woman that can't have children. If I ever have kids, if that day ever arrives, and I have children, I hope they're not disabled like me. If you want to hate me, go ahead. Dolores dies and she says, even if the world is empty, everything's okay because you kissed me, mother. Alright, we did it. That is the game. The only thing left is the endgame area and the actual endings. But that's still like a whole other hour. So Le Qing walks up to a giant mechanical bird that looks very organic on the outside and pours 4 containers of gasoline into him. Something completely normal and that we've all done before. Do we need explanation of where this bird came from? No, we don't. Do we get one? Absolutely not. We just have to take it on faith. There was a giant mechanical bird just sitting there and we're not gonna learn anymore. Le Qing climbs onto the back of the bird and they take off into the sky. A cold wind blows against Le Qing's cheek. They've entered the Sky Corridor. It's an aerial traffic corridor operated by the Lei Fang Group and the state. High in the sky, Le Qing presses her face against the bird's back. It's all so much to bear for her, when all of a sudden she has a piercing migraine, and images flood into her mind. Images of the beacon. Inescapable blackness is staining. You don't have much time left, were the words that came with the images in her mind. The shattered road to the end. The giant bird touches down, and they've arrived at their destination. This is the beginning of the end. Le Qing finds a message on the floor regarding a catastrophe that occurred with the recent chaos in space-time. This haunted place was a shattered part of the city, floating off on its own island in the sky. A place of terror and stillness, where monsters lingered in the air and on the ground. The first serious opposition that Qing would find here would be the Fly Knight. This would be the fight that unleashes the madness to come. Le Qing couldn't have known it before the fight, but once the Fly Knight falls, the world changes and madness spreads throughout the land.
All NPCs Le Qing has interacted with so far on her journey are now frenzied, meaning they have mutated, become violent, and will attack Le Qing on sight as invaders. But we'll talk more about them later. Le Qing pushes forth, navigating the fighting between the Yi Qiu witches and what remains of the Alliance forces, also having to navigate the occasional invader trying to stop her progress. This floating realm is a free-for-all of the different forces at play, trying to tip the scales and guide the outcomes of what happens next for humanity. One such invader will stand out. She will call Le Qing a sister. She appears cursed, cold, and will ask for help. Her significance will not be immediately evident, but will become more apparent when we talk about the true ending of the game. She's a tragic figure, talking about how she's lonely, wants to connect with people, and strives to enrich her weakened self. Behind another set of black chains, Le Qing will encounter the Grand Witch of the Yi Qiu, Narakura, the White Crow. She initially appears surprised to see Le Qing here, although her ramblings make her seem a little bit confused and disoriented. She mentions that even though her memories are eroded, she's convinced that she's doing the right thing. Nevertheless, she will eliminate all survivors and listen to that final soundless voice of the colorless world. Just a personal note, this is one of my favorite battle sprites. I love the art design of Narakura. Something about the longing of how she looks along with the design of her wings. Also, she's wearing jorts. For some reason, jorts are very prevalent in the endgame. The Annihilated Soul item description reads, an extremely violent soul to the point of self-destructive tendencies. It's said, with a soul like this, it will bring flames of twilight and infinite violence. As Narakura dies, she curses the Seed of Oblivion. Having access to the terminal behind her, Le Qing is now able to decrypt the cipher paper she got at the very beginning of the game, which will unlock the final 2 encounters of the game. After the decrypting, Le Qing sees a video file. The video shows a secret meeting between the head of the Lei Fang Society and a member of the Alliance. They are discussing a secret proposal. A member of the Alliance is to act alone. The Lei Fang Society wants them to betray the champion and betray the Alliance, and also betray the champion in order to contribute to the New World plan and carry out the Lei Fang Society's beautiful new vision. Making her way to the end, Le Qing finds one last flower basket, takes a moment to catch her breath, a last final moment of respite before the end. She finds another set of black chains. She prepares herself for the challenge up ahead by casting all the spells she would need for a fight. She holds her breath, and yet again, she steps into the fear to face the champion. The underground cavern, permeated by eternal night, lies ahead. The champion casually mentions that the beacon requires the kindling of all humanity. Otherwise, the white light's trajectory cannot be altered. Humanity, after burning, will reform into the Utopia's mist surrounding this planet. Souls will also refill and nourish every corner of this world. Therefore, unclean ones cannot be allowed to touch the beacon. Le Qing replies, "Try to stop me if you can." It feels as if your soul is completely burned to ashes. This person is as scorching as the sun. The Endless Soul item description reads, "Still beating like a heart, a heavy soul, its degree of aggregation fills you with fear. The fate of the artificial champion, only by losing everything can this world be remade." The champion calls out to Miriam and says that he still has a lot to learn. As the champion dies, he tells Le Qing, "If you are this strong, I entrust the fate of the world to you, Seed of Oblivion." Le Qing continues on her path. There is one last set of black chains, and one last fear she must step into to complete her quest. The final encounter with the beacon of the end. The moment that would dictate the future of humanity. I offer you the beloved one's end. O forgotten ones, all becomes dust. Let the pure white dream flow into the belly. The beacon is an unholy torso with a shadow for a head, propped up on a mountain of corpses, embedded with nuclear fuel. A formidable foe with a wider range of magical spells that it will throw at Le Qing. The beacon of the end is doom incarnate, the manifestation of the end. It is that which called the white light to earth and wiped out millions, if not billions of lives in a mere instant, forever changing the course of the future and putting the burden of deciding the future on the Seed of Oblivion. The beacon will try to weaken Le Qing's resolve by telepathically taunting her. I offer you the withered flower. Do not bloom. Do not turn into dust and soil. Please, please abandon love and thus vanish into the universe. Once the beacon has taken enough damage, it will summon help, calling the nuclear box. A nuclear box appeared. You feel a sense of near sorrowful welling up in your heart. A sense of foreboding doom settles on Le Qing. The beacon has an array of powerful offensive spells, but also an array of powerful defensive spells that Le Qing will have to disable or overpower to inflict damage. She will also have to contend with the beacon's many powerful fire spells to survive the fight, turning this into a fight of attrition to simply survive. I offer you the Endless Nightmare in the Cradle of 8,330,000,000, nearly eternal, forever drifting with the painless crimson sea. The beacon will continue taunting Le Qing in a desperate attempt to get Le Qing to stop. Hope is slim. The bright path ahead shatters. Ascended here and expelled, knowing full well there's no way forward. And just as suddenly as this ordeal started, it ended. As the beacon of the end is defeated. Happy music plays. The moment they touched this planet's filthy air, the outsiders understood malice, thus birthing sin from their fear, praying to no one, please destroy it. The supercomputing program from the white light fractional rate is gradually shattering. Do you want to touch it to usher in the third world? And here, Le Qing decides the fate of the world. If Le Qing hasn't met any special conditions, there will only be one option available, night, which is the default ending. All of this, let's end it all. A deep and clear magic welled up from the earth. The beacon completely collapsed. The center of the world has now shifted to you. The boundless night unfolded. This is your stage. It's you. The curtain falls before the opening ceremony. How far have we fallen? Hope has turned to dust. The outcome is already decided. But if desire still exists, then please try your best to ignite it. Things that slumber in darkness, they will crave light again. What should we do? Le Qing asked herself. I just don't understand. The world has gone to hell and everything is flooded. She was all alone, and the world has slipped into darkness. I miss you so much, Fang Yu, she thought. In the glowing abyss before my eyes, a familiar-looking person drifted by. Smoky flaxen hair floated on the water's surface. It's Fang Yu. Fang Yu, wake up, Le Qing says. She's barely hanging on. The apocalypse is weighing on her. The recent events have taken a toll on her, and her breath is faint. Le Qing watches on powerless, unable to help Fang Yu. I won't let you die. I'm still here, I found you, so don't be afraid. I'm here, says Le Qing. Le Qing held Fang Yu close. She couldn't take it anymore, and tears started rolling down her face. Le Qing turns to face Fang Yu and rests her forehead to Fang Yu's. I won't let you go, says Le Qing. Le Qing had never felt so close to somebody before in her life. A fusion of souls, all occurring while the world burned around them during the apocalypse. Le Qing's humanity began to merge with Fang Yu's, and her heart started racing. But the abyss reaching up and grabbing them interrupted the moment. Everything around them kept flooding. Fang Yu finally woke up. She began to breathe heavily, and she was trembling. Le Qing explains that the world is over, and there's no more civilization, there's no more nothing. But there's still Le Qing and Fang Yu. At the end of the night, still following the daytime.
Flames have been ignited, and Le Qing will now be the fire in the abyss. The world will revolve around them, and will be lost in their dreams, gaining the will of humanity. Ending 1. Night. But there are two other endings, Dusk and Day. Dusk is also known as the Frenzied ending, the ending in which Le Qing gives into violence. To unlock this ending, she has to kill as many invaders, bosses, and frenzied NPCs as possible. If she gets over the threshold, it unlocks the Dusk ending, and she'll get some special encounters approaching the endgame, reflecting her descent into violence. After defeating the Fly Knight, madness will spread, and the world will be reseeded with enemies, including the frenzied NPCs. Le Qing will have to revisit most of the map, hunting down the NPCs to unlock the Dusk ending. Also, the frenzied NPCs will generally drop really good loot or powerful items. Some of my favorites, or standouts, were Electro Lily, the cyborg sheriff, because it's a robot sheriff, and I thought that was pretty cool. The Moon Gazer, who becomes the Moon Knight. The fishing girl becomes, well, whatever this thing is, the polluted pupa. The music is cheerful and she's asking for her sister. The magic teacher, who was initially just a soul, and who helped us with the fight with the corpse collector, becomes immortal and has to be killed repeatedly until she stays down. She has become a monster called Eternal Vermeil. It's semi-immortal, able to resurrect 6 times in a row. The woman from the Mountain Tavern becomes Purity and Addiction, composed of 2 twisted figures seemingly locked in battle. The Dirty Old Man, or the Crestfallen Hobo, becomes Eternal War, a human tank, or a biological piece of war equipment. The researcher becomes the eternal dissenter. Having chosen a path of violence, Le Qing will have one final opponent before she can attempt the endgame, and that is Fang Yu, who will stand up to Le Qing and her now violent ways, trying to talk her down and return to her kind ways. Fang Yu adds that she will never give up on Le Qing, but somebody as violent as Le Qing must not become the champion. Fang Yu asked, Le Qing, were you in such pain? If only we hadn't met here, then memories of you would have stayed as on that day. The scented shampoo, your smile, and the name of that movie. Having defeated Fang Yu, Le Qing can continue on her journey. Once the beacon is defeated, a second option will open up, one for the Dusk ending. Almost in an instant, the simplification rate bizarrely burst apart and scattered. Out-of-control magic erupts, surging up from underground in a drowning torrent. Each inch of the building around you is disintegrating. Pure white magic tears through steel and concrete, then, with violent roars, tears them into dust. Countless particles weave a scene like chaotic dancing silk. Everything is stepping towards the end. Sounds seem to be disappearing too. The quiet grows. Fire and brimstone surround Le Qing. Everything has disappeared. What are you doing? Why are you still existing? It's still noisy all around. Truly filthy vermin. Humans. Corpses litter the ground. Polluted magic scorched every corner of this planet. The dense arcane reaction centered on you. It kept pressing outward, like continually expanding lead blocks. Every life on this planet suffered because of you, turning the world into a scorching ember. Let love also cease to exist, withering with the flowers. 5,000 years of sorrow and hatred are but a mere scum of the old sea that buries human memory. All around is the magic of the beacons tainted by your soul. Almost infinite, the mist of the utopia transforms into the somber fiery sunset clouds, spilling like boiling oil onto the boundless skies. Thus the white light also fears. There are still madmen whose souls are not completely gathered, tirelessly devouring each other, but whomever approaches you is instantly incinerated by flames several times. You are like a tyrant sun at this moment. And that wrathful, weary flame also completely erased your own existence. Oh, self-destructive fire, burn the sound of the universe. Bring the tranquility of the pastoral, even if just a corner of the 830 trillion billion years. Ending 2, Ruler of Twilight. A planet embraced by rose-colored, saltpeter and sulfured, a calamitous, heavenly, portent refining colors, infinite violence, lord of the nameless dusk. Press X to continue. Oh, but we are nearly done. We have one ending left. The day ending, the true ending, the happy ending. Let's get to it. This ending also has special requirements, but these are more exploratory. There were 3 optional items, and if you remembered, in the painted world, in the abyss, and on the moon base, we picked up some special souls. These were all requirements for the true ending. Having collected those 3 souls, Le Qing will want to return to this flower basket on the way to the abyss with 0 mind, and then head back the way she came. That will trigger this invader called the Vessel's Nameless One. Defeat him to collect a special chalk. After that, Le Qing will need to return to the Ashen Ballroom, and then proceed to the tent that Dolores has been preventing you from entering this entire time. Use the special chalk to invade another realm. Le Qing will appear in a cemetery with a shade standing on the far side. She approaches. She recognizes the graves. Those are her parents' graves. She asks the shade, "Do you know them?" The shadow laughs and says, "I don't know any of these people. The only person I know is you." She approaches. Le Qing suddenly recognizes her. The little girl refers to Le Qing as Big Sister and suggests let's recreate the scene of that day. The little sister takes a new form once she's sustained enough damage. She says even sleeping in a warm cradle, one still has terrifying nightmares. Humans are indeed born of darkness. The deep dark parts have never left the human heart. Once the maggot goddess is defeated, Le Qing will be able to visit her parents' gravestones. Le Qing closes her eyes and has a vision of somebody of her past. A familiar female figure appears, and she sees her mother. She's made an appearance just to give Le Qing one last hug, and then she sends Le Qing on her way again. Le Qing will now have the flower ritual sword. To get the true ending, Le Qing will also have to have visited the secret garden and have talked to Fang Yu at some point during her journey. Lastly, Le Qing will need to return to the Seaside Fortress and equip the flower ritual sword that she just picked up from her parents' grave, and use it to destroy the convergence of all magic. With all that accomplished, the day option will unlock. End all of this completely. The night sky underground is shattering. The terrifying power accumulated by the beacon over the years is no longer restrained. Endless, bizarre, nocturnal magic ravages every inch of cement here. It seems that the end is near. Though Le Qing notices that flowers are still growing. Le Qing's companion makes an appearance. Le Qing asks, "Why did you run out?" and then calls him to her. He disappears and Le Qing calls out to him. When Le Qing wakes up, she's laying down on something cold, similar to water. The cold of the universe makes her shiver. As she staggers up, strange, eerie sounds invade her brain. Le Qing feels her skin and flesh burning. The pure malice of the white light terrifyingly seizes her throat. Le Qing is unable to breathe. But even so, she continues walking into the white light. At the same time, a white shadow or specter of Le Qing appears. Moments later, many more, and then dozens, hundreds, and thousands more. Radars and sensors across the world start picking up an atmospheric phenomenon. A large number of white, semi-transparent entities resembling human females composed of unknown substances cross the atmosphere. No acceleration, no massive collisions, merely falling through the atmosphere, maintaining a constant speed. Within 1 hour, such entities have already exceeded hundreds of billions, uniformly landing everywhere on Earth. Global oceans are polluted by violet and black liquids suddenly seeping from the seabeds, all this occurring in less than 15 minutes. However, white entities, after soaking and absorbing sufficient amounts of these liquids, began to self-destruct. From the decomposed entities, cyan and red substances surge and spread out. Global oceans turn cyan and red. Oxygen levels rise sharply. 6:35 a.m. The white entities finally stop falling. 6:43 a.m. The remaining entities, totaling approximately 7 billion, begin to collectively march towards the cities on land. No one knows why, much less their intentions. Billions of humanoids then land on Earth, then stop for no reason, merely standing there on the ground without moving. The dream is ready, a place where everyone's hopes converge. Champion under the end, why offer yourself to this extent? If you're afraid of loneliness, why not just give up your humanity? Was it not your wish to transform into something non-human? So many wounds, Nightmare Le Qing says. Won't you come too, she invites. She gently extends her hand to you. You gaze blankly at her fair palm for a while, and only after a moment do you cautiously place your hand on it. And right at this moment, it seems like it was always meant to be like this, just holding her hand, passing through this vast expanse of stone blue flower sea as a bond to fulfill destiny. This is my own final resting place. Ending 3. The blissful paradise gifted to you. Press X to continue. So that's the 3 endings, but there is still the epilogue that wraps up the story that is only unlocked after getting ending 3. The little girl tells her mom, "It's so cold today." Le Qing tells her daughter, "Cold? Then hold on tight then." Le Qing's daughter looks just like her, except where Le Qing has blue eyes, her daughter has red eyes. The little girl tells her mom that people at school keep asking her why she only has one parent come pick her up. The other kids are curious about Le Qing's spouse. Le Qing tells her to just answer casually that mom didn't want to get married, that she's a test tube baby or adopted. The little girl asks, "Then, how did I really come about?" Le Qing explains that she was just inexplicably born to mom. The little girl says she's about to have an existential crisis. Le Qing questions where the little girl learned these words. Scattered snowflakes drift past distant lights, refracting countless tiny flashes. Fleeting such moments, one after another, as snowflakes kiss the earth, everything is like a winter's confession. You gaze blankly ahead, only it seems remembered in very distant past, distant enough to be called murky, dusty times. People then don't seem to snuggle together as closely now, yet unable to leave each other, always gathering together, calling out with love. Clearly yearning to be close, yet always hurting each other. Sparks of love ignite in the soul, yet are suppressed within the shell of humanity, unable to touch each other. And if warmth is never felt, then twisted things will be mistaken for love. "Mom," calls the little girl. "Why are you crying?" she asks. "It's nothing," says Le Qing. "Don't cry, Mom," says the little girl. "I love you the most." Le Qing teases the little girl saying you love mom all day, aren't you ashamed? The little girl replies back, "Come on, who do you love the most?" Le Qing says, "I say I love your aunt Fang Yu the most. Are you satisfied?"
Oh, you're always using her against me, says the little girl. Mom, why didn't you stop Aunt Fang Yu when she was leaving last year? Didn't I try, replies Le Qing. You just said you wanted her by your side, and she ended up slipping away in the end. Why didn't you say more? If she really wanted to leave, I wouldn't stop her. And anyway, she'll come back in the end. While the two are walking, they see a familiar figure. It's Aunt Fang Yu. Le Qing awkwardly asks, how did you? But she's interrupted by Fang Yu, who says, well, the company asked me to intern first. I saw it was actually here, so I stopped by for a visit. And if I didn't come back soon, I was afraid your precious daughter wouldn't recognize me anymore. Le Qing teases and says, why recognize you? She's not your daughter. And then she kisses Le Yao's cheek. Fang Yu and Le Qing walk side by side. Fang Yu replies, what do you mean? I accompanied you when registering the household. That means I'm half her mom too. Little girl says, Aunt Fang Yu, you should go back. I haven't enjoyed enough time alone with mom. Fang Yu says, hey rude, who taught you that? Your mom? Le Qing brushes all that aside and asks, what internship are you doing? Fang Yu tells her that she's a literary editor and she can recommend books for Le Qing's store. Le Qing says, that type of stuff doesn't matter. They should go home now. Yes, the sun is still warm. The sea is still clear. How fortunate you and I. Just because the world is but a mucky dream, we can still meet each other and offer flowers to you. The end. The only end. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Cradle of Nightmares, Flowers to You. Thank you very much for spending these roughly 4 hours with me. I hope you enjoyed the video. Later. Thank you. Bye.